Hey, good evening. Welcome to Friday, guys. We made it. We made it all the way to the end of this week. I hope you're doing very well. And who am I to well wish you? I'm Bill Sylvie, also known as the Dungeon Delver. Welcome to the show. If you're just stopping by for the first time, please do consider hitting that subscribe button and that bell icon for notifications, because that way I can make more good content for you and you can find out about it. Or if I can put it in more sinister terms, I am shadow banned by the YouTube algorithm. They will not recommend my channel. I don't know, maybe they will, but I'm small fry. So please do consider clicking that subscribe button. I appreciate it greatly. How are you this evening? How are you? Hope everybody's both hunky and dory, as I said last night. It means I hope you are a handsome fish with memory issues. No, I don't know what it means. Anyway, lots of interesting stuff is happening around the show. And it's all a very behind-the-scenes thing, but I want to talk about the stuff in front of the scenes first and foremost. The folks who have ordered, with one exception, there is one Beholder print that is pending payment. All the others shipped out today. They all shipped out today. The Great Devil Face wall tile order completed. That's right. 6 of you guys stepped up. One of you, I don't remember who, said, screw it, I want my wall tiles, and bought 2 more, and then somebody finally stepped up and bought the last one this afternoon. So 10 have been ordered, and 2 are currently printing. Based on what the printer says, it's going to be about 36 hours to print those out. So guys, when I say, hey, this takes a while to do, and I charge $25 for a little square of resin, it's not because I'm just a greedy Gus. So rest assured, and you're getting it painted. You're getting yours painted. So yeah, the Devil Face wall tiles have printed. The next items on offer, and I say items plural because it is two classic bugbears, a Chinosaur bugbear and an original D&D illustration bugbear. And I'm going to show those to you guys. Look, don't at me saying, hey, I want those, because we need to talk about price and I need to show you prototypes of what you'll be getting. So bugbears. I'm sorry, not bugbears. Owl bears, not bugbears. Owl bears is what you guys are getting. Greetings, Unicycle Peon. So owl bears are forthcoming very soon, my friends. Get ready. After that, after the owl bears, I'm really excited about this. I'm going to try my hand. I'm going to create something for you guys. I'm not just going to go find an STL and print it up. Owl bugs. Ooh, I like that. No, I am going to create jack-o'-lantern head bugbears. If you know your OD&D, if you know your supplement 1 Greyhawk, towards the back, there's the first illustration of an owl bear, a bugbear, which is just a really tall, ripped guy with a jack-o'-lantern head. So yes, I will actually be offering classic OD&D bugbears, jack-o'-lantern head, hairy, not wielding weapons. I'm excited about that, aren't you guys? No, Todd, it's too late. You can't escape the owl bugs. They rode in on the back of the horse. Elf Bait, greetings. Dave L. Alf Bears, not elves. Willie! Yeah, well, the Alf Bears ate all the tabaxi, so. But anyway, yeah, Elf Bait and I, just, you know. So anyway, yeah, that's what's happening with printed stuff. There's printed stuff coming. So I thank everyone who has stepped up and purchased stuff. Now, speaking of that, I want to talk a little bit about advertising on the show. I'm opening up the floor to accepting advertisers. We have one on tap. We do, and I know, like I'm saying advertisers like it's a good thing, but let me tell you guys something. Okay, I'm not going to be doing a spot for Raycon or the, what is the thing where they send you the meals in a box and you just cook it, and they're, you know, the people are like, this is delicious, you know, the HelloFresh, that's it. Like I'm not going to be endorsing their stuff because they're not going to come and ask me. No, I'm only going to have stuff on the show that you guys will like. All right. So to that end, this is a soft advertisement for my buddies over at Gods and Monsters, Todd and Anna. Because guess what? They got in a haul of Dungeons and Dragons Classic and some real rarities. Watch this spot. Watch the Discord, because they're going to be getting me some pictures in. How many of you out there would like, say, a physical copy of the GDQ series? You don't have one. All right. They have in beautiful condition the color cover, G123, then D1, D1 to 2, and Q1, Queen of the Demon Web Pits. Pretty nice. Not bad. What if I told you they have, in its original poly bag with stickers on the front from Judges Guild, black and white, Tegel Manor? Yeah, somebody came in and sold that to them today. The first 3 original printings of the first 3 books of Ardu and Grimoire. Yeah. This is stuff they've gotten in. So if you're interested in that, I will hook you up. I will put you in touch with Todd and Anna, and you can make arrangements. So let me know over in some conversation on the Discord. If you message me here, it could scroll by tonight and I'll completely miss it. And if you put it in the comments down below, I love it when people comment on the videos, and I love it when you guys engage over here in the comments. But something like this, I could miss. Something like this, I could miss. So please, you can email me that you see the PayPal direct thing. That is also my email address, bselby@gmail.com. They've got a Fiend folio. They've got, oh gosh, the non-player character record sheets, the 3-hole punched thing for doing your NPC characters. Do they have a Discord? I don't think Gods and Monsters has a Discord. Share the share my Discord. Okay. Todd gets mad when I don't. Yes, we have a Discord. Invite people. Copy. Paste. So if that's your jam, if actual classic Dungeons and Dragons stuff is your jam, they just got a treasure trove, okay? Treasure type A, and they rolled 01 for every hit along the way, including magic items. So, that's my little blurb for them. Our actual advertiser, I want to settle things in. It's somebody I have advertised before, somebody I've endorsed before, but we'll get things settled in before I start talking about them. But if you want to go check out Hellebarde Games, hellebardgames.com, you can scope them out on the web. They sell a module that I've written, and my fingers are on several modules of there as an editing reader. So check out hellebardgames.com. We will have proper advertising space for them as time goes on. So that's it for the grift for right now. But I'm gonna preface tonight's subject. So if you're just getting here and you're like, I thought this a-hole was going to read Deities and Demigods. I'm about to. I promise. It's fixing to happen. So we are going to start a deep dive into Deities and Demigods by James M. Ward and Rob Kuntz. I am personally of the opinion that a look at Deities and Demigods is wholly incomplete and lacking in factual information and entertainment value to you if it does not include the now largely expurgated, well, now completely expurgated mythos, the Cthulhu mythos and the Melnibonéan mythos. And we're going to get into that. We're going to dive into the specifics of that. Greetings, Mobius. We're gonna look at the specifics of that, of why that is when we talk about the history of the book. So the PDF you're going to see is a PDF that's never been published. Some brave soul either spent forever cleaning up a face-down flatbed scan, or braver still, they removed the pages from a Deities and Demigods to create this scan. As I have said time and again, if an item's being published and sold, I don't care if it's by Wizards of the Coast and it's only in PDF. But if an item is being published and sold by a company, you, my audience, are obligated to pay what is being asked for it. Pay for it. If you're sitting there thinking, well, those books on drive-through are just, they're on a server, somebody maintaining that server has to eat. Somebody making sure that that website stays up and that it doesn't auto enter your credit card 666 times when you're just trying to buy a single $1.99 PDF has to pay an electrical bill. Pay for what you get. Now, there's a caveat. Many of the things I've shown on the show are pure unobtainium. You and I will never get them. The Lost Caverns of Sojkant, the original WinterCon module. Same with the tournament version of Forgotten Demicon. If you can find a PDF, go right ahead. Currently, and probably eternally, an unexpurgated Deities and Demigods is not available. The one that I'm going to show you doesn't exist in PDF form. and it is not being published physically. The PDF of this that you can get from Drive-Thru or DM's Guild is the expurgated version. If you can find this PDF, get the PDF. I'm not going to tell you where that is, but if you want to raise the skull and crossbones, the Jolly Roger, and say yo ho ho, and seek this out, that's on you. Howard Phillips Lovecraft is almost 100 years dead. Michael Moorcock is still with us, but as we will explore, it is my understanding that at least to the presentation in a Dungeons and Dragons book of his various myths, he was completely tolerant. So, and as Dave points out, you are legally allowed to have digital copies of books you own. So, let's put it in gear and let's explore Deities and Demigods together in a deep dive par excellence. Now, a little bit of history. Back in the hoary old days of original D&D, and I meant to have this to hand, but maybe I can grab it. It's Eldritch Wizardry, close but no cigar. TSR published this, which I'm about to show you guys. And we've talked about this deeply on the show before, but TSR published Gods, Demigods, and Heroes. And it is what it says on the tin, and it is also by Rob Kuntz and James Ward. This is exactly that. Gods, Demigods, and Heroes for original Dungeons and Dragons, and we have explored that book. When AD&D rolled around, Jim said, we should release an updated version of it. We should release an updated version of it. So they approached the Bloom brothers, who were steering the ship at that point. Or perhaps it was Gary. I'll have to double check with Jim. And said, hey, let's release an AD&D version. And it got the blessing. And that's what we're going to be looking at. So let me show you then the cover. It is, now, when it comes to iconic role-playing game books, this cover is right up there with another Errol Otis piece, the basic Dungeons & Dragons, which I have a shirt of, the Monster Manual, the Dungeon Master's Guide, the Player's Handbook. This is an absolutely gorgeous piece of art by Errol Otis. And what made it stand out so much was that it did not follow the typical TSR layout formula that they had shown us, the souvenir font, which the advanced D&D logo here in the corner, that is the souvenir font, and spacing and so on. No, we got, I don't know the name of this font. Someone with a sharper eye might tell me, nor this one down here, but we got this, this modified Desdemona, Deities Demigods. It told you this book was something different. And Errol Otis is a treasure. Yes, he is. So what do we see on the cover of the book then? Of course, you can see this is a wizard logo. Claire, you can ascribe good or evil to these guys as you like. Cleric on a plinth, cleric on the ground. Sort of mimicked a little bit a couple of years later, I think, in Big Trouble in Little China, when Egg Shen and David Lo Pan are quite literally having a very similar fight. They summon spiritual creatures to fight each other overhead in the wedding chamber. So a beautiful piece of art on the cover. And we are told that this is a cyclopedia of gods and heroes from myth and legend. Now, one thing I do want to address, and I touched on this a little bit last night, there are two for lack of a better term, active religions in this book. Per James Ward, adherents of those religions have never expressed a problem with his presentation of them. We are going to look this solely as gaming material. So Errol does not let up on the flyleaf. In fact, looking at this, it makes me wonder if this was not an original cover pitch, because this looks a lot more typical of an AD&D book. This layout, like if this book had had that cover, it would have made sense. So, Deities Demigods, special reference work. James Ward with Rob Kuntz. Edited by Law Schick, 1980 TSR game. So this came out in 80. And we have arguably... I make a lot of music comparisons about D&D. That or they're engaging in AD&D silent combat. It could be, Damien, could be. That's the beauty of art. It is subjective, and it's up to your interpretation. This is the supergroup lineup of great, and I mean great with a capital G, TSR artists in this volume. Now, I'm not sure who Emoth is or Imoth. If someone out there is, let me know. Didn't quite get my homework done. Jeff Lanners, also a bit of a unusual name, but this is the, I don't know, this is the long run. This is in through the outdoor. This is 17, if you're a fan of Chicago, of lineup of folks to do art for a TSR book. So we have Jeff D, Paul Jacques, David S. LaForce, again, Jeff Lanners and Amoth or Imoth, Errol Otis, Darlene Peekle, Jim Rosloff, David Sutherland, and Dave Trampier, with the wrap cover by Errol Otis. Please don't say the Who or the Eagles. Sorry, Cooley. Get out of my cab. This, honestly, to me, for most of these artists, not all of them, I think in the case of a few of them, particularly, I think Darlene's best work is expressed in the Dungeon Master's Guide, her plates in the Dungeon Master's Guide. I'm sorry, I'm just showing my love for her, for her mysterious succubus in the back, and of course other pieces. But anyway, so let's dip into the forward. Let's dive into the forward. When work first commenced on Advanced Dungeons & Dragons fantasy adventure game, one particular aspect of fantasy role-playing was foremost in my mind. There was either a general neglect of deities or else an even worse use by abuse. That is, game masters tended to ignore deities which were supposedly served and worshipped by characters in the campaign, or else they had gods popping up at the slightest whim of player characters in order to rescue them from perilous situations, grant wishes, and generally step and fetch. Obviously, there's a broad ground between these two extremes, and that is squarely where I desired AD&D to go. As the various manuscripts were being written, I informed both James Ward and Rob Kuntz of the direction which the overall work was to take, and then followed up with draft copies of the manuscript. Thus, both authors were well appraised of the form and content of AD&D. Their work, the Deities and Demigods Cyclopedia, reflects that they not only were kept abreast of the game as it developed, but that they also adhered to the concepts which were instrumental in making AD&D what it is. Deities and demigods is an indispensable part of the whole of AD&D. Now let's take that sentence for a minute. Deities and demigods is an indispensable part of the whole of AD&D. Even if you can't get an unobtainium 144-page copy, many of the rules, as we'll see, many of the rules are key to AD&D. Thank you. See, this I have such an awesome audience in you guys. I throw that out there, and then Dave L is right on it. Pseudonym for one, Kenneth Robin, apparently. Excellent. So don't just cast this book out and say, well, I'm not going to use any of those gods, and I guess it's fun to flip through. There's concrete stuff, and we're going to see it in here. This is almost going to be a callback to when we were doing Let's Learn How to Play AD&D and talking about the Player's Handbook and the Dungeon Master's Guide, and to a degree the Monster Manual. Okay, all the concepts we learned there last year will come into play here. So if you're new to the channel and you didn't see those and you go watch them, and they're a long series, I'm not going to lie, and then you come back to this video later for a rewatching, you're going to go, ah, I see now. Experienced players will immediately concur with this evaluation, for they already know how important alignment is, how necessary the players will immediately concur. How necessary the deity is to the cleric, and how interaction of the various alignments upon the entities which lead them. Those readers not well grounded in ongoing campaigns must take my word for all of this, for although they will soon discover themselves how crucial the deities are of the campaign milieu. In general, deities are presented in pantheons. You can select which ones, combinations, or parts of pantheons best suit your campaign. Players knowing which gods are real in the campaign world are able to intelligently choose to serve one or more. Now note that, serve one or more. You may have a player who's cleric. I am a cleric of lawful good deities. So that puts me at that puts me in the what's the word I'm looking for here? The college of these deities here. We all know players. Yes, we've all heard that. Oh, I feel you, Light Main. I understand. Anyway, choose to serve one or more suitable to the character's alignment, profession, and even goals. Included are major, minor, and almost gods, demigods. There are also a few divine monsters and magic items herein. See, this is not just a catalog. This is not just a phone book of gods to work through, killing like Terminator, going through the Sarah Connors in Los Angeles just before Judgment Day, right? These creatures and devices are so connected to mythology that this work was the only place to properly present them. Not included are those minions of evil found in the Monster Manual and the attendant volumes forthcoming. Diabolical and demoniac creatures are important to the campaign milieu. Now, guys, this is something that I wish had been put up in 5-foot-high brass letters across the lawn of TSR's offices. I don't know if anyone would have listened. But my gosh. Without evil, what does good have to strive against? Just want you to let that percolate. Without evil, What does good have to strive against? Me, Bill Sylvie, am opposed to evil campaigns. I don't like running a group of evil characters through an adventure. I don't get jollies by, let's burn the orphanage. Let's skewer the mayor and his wife. Let's poison the town well. Let's make pacts with demons and watch the world get plunged into 1,000 years of darkness. I don't. That's not for me. But I do like creating situations where good characters can triumph. And for good to triumph, you have to at least represent a challenge of evil. It is no great matter to extract these beings from the other works and include them amongst the other deities, however. The format used to present the beings in Deities and Demigods was actually developed through close consultation with myself. It was chosen for clarity and completeness of information. The reader can extract basic information quickly just by glancing at the statistics pertaining to the beings in question. Greater detail is then presented in the explanatory paragraphs which follow the initial data. It is worth commenting that the strength and powers of the beings contained herein are appropriate to the overall work. Thus, addition of these deities and demigods does not imbalance the campaign. Furthermore, characters who become a match for them are obviously to be ranked amongst their number, no longer suitable for daily campaign interaction, but to be removed and to another place and plane and treated accordingly. When your magic user is capable of casting multiple wish spells and then mitigating the aging cost, when your fighter is wielding a sword that can slice a mountain in half without him breaking a sweat, when your thief can pick the pocket of the 1,000-eyed being, it's time to maybe consider moving on to a new character. The authors have prepared exactly what AD&D needed to make it a complete work. They deserve praise for the excellence of their effort. It is also necessary to acknowledge the contributions made by the TSR staff, developmentally and editorially alike. The writing of this work was a long and complex project which involved countless hours of research. Both authors were willing to step back from it and allow the team at TSR to amend and augment their creation to assure that the whole world would meet each and every need of DM and player alike with respect to the deities and demigods of the campaign milieu. This is a case where too many cooks doesn't exist. Deities and Demigods deserves to be part of AD&D. It was designed to provide much needed information on how to include these divine beings in the campaign milieu, how to have the participants interact with them, and offer a broad selection from which to choose. It is with sincere pleasure that I welcome James Ward and Rob Kuntz into the AD&D fold. I trust you will find their efforts most rewarding to your gaming enjoyment. E. Gary Gygax, 1 May 1980, Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. I love reading any forwards or introductory stuff by Gary, or any of the group, particularly when they put a date stamp on it. Kind of gives me a thrill to go, oh, that was just last week, or that was a couple of weeks ago, or something like that. You know? And of course, we have contents. We just went through our preface. And so on, but here, and we're gonna come back. Don't worry. We're gonna look at these sections separately. Here we have the American Indian mythos, Arthurian heroes, Babylonian mythos, Celtic mythos, Central American mythos, Chinese mythos, Cthulhu mythos. You're not misreading this. Yes, this is an unexpurgated PDF. I wasn't lying, and it's not janky as far as layout and view. Egyptian myths, Finnish myths, Greek myths, Indian myths, Japanese, Melnibonean myths, Nawan, non-human, Norse, and Sumerian. Now, note it does not include Greyhawk gods. At 1981, Greyhawk was the only pantheon, or was the only campaign world published by TSR. But at this juncture in time, I think Gary is off working on the world of Greyhawk. There is something in this book, and we'll see it when we get to it, that I don't agree with the inclusion of. But we can argue about it when we get there. We've got a road to hoe in front of us. And we have this positively, I mean, oh my gosh, that is some of Jim Rosseloff's best work. If that is Jim Rosseloff, I'm 99.99% certain that's Jim Rosseloff. And that's what I'm talking about when I talk about the majesty of the artwork in this book. One piece in, and isn't your heart just like, don't you just feel a thrill there? And the preface we'll get to here in just a second. The preface by Jim. Come on. This stupid mouse wheel. This work, as all AD&D works, is an attempt to clarify and produce material for those referees who expect and demand high-quality information for their campaigns. Within its pages, you will find details and facts that will be highly useful to you as the DM and to your player clerics. It is not intended as a treatment of world religions and the rightness or wrongness of their philosophies. Let me repeat that for the folks in the back who might not have been paying attention. It is not intended as a treatment of world religions and the rightness or wrongness of their philosophies. It is a simple statement of the historical or literary details man has recorded for all to see. Do not look for a favoring of good versus evil or neutrality versus everything else. When historians or authors wrote about a deity in a way that made them powerful or feared, that is the way we make them. In the same light, when a being was made to all-powerful in AD&D terms, we scaled them down to make them compatible in game terms. Although I still think there's a few that they included that are just beyond the pale. But again, we'll see when we get there. I don't think that's the Darlene unicorn head. This is just, but you know, I could be wrong. I could be wrong. So, whoops. So we see here the creative process of this book differ from other AD&D works in that 3/4 of the information given was drawn from knowledgeable sources rather than from the imagination of the authors. So they hit that wall of encyclopedias there in TSR's office. The names of the deities and heroes drawn from knowledgeable sources rather than the names of the deities and heroes, the weapons and powers they used, and many of their personality traits are plain for everyone to discover for themselves. What had to be creatively done dealt with concepts that were purely AD&D in nature. All of the leaders of the pantheons were given 400 hit points, and the rest were scaled down from there. The relative resistance of beings to blows and magic was derived from the studies of their battles with natural and supernatural forces, while concepts like strength were easily assigned in the case of deities of strength or war. This concept is less easily adapted to more powerful deities who have no need for massive muscles. Alignments were perhaps the hardest AD&D concept to deal with, and the one that will have the most debate amongst the interested users of this work. I think we can definitely agree. Beings like Set, Loki, and Ariok are easy to clarify, but when working with middle-of-the-road deities whose who were often chaotic but known for consistent kindness, or were rogues of the worst sort but very companionable, it became necessary to consider them as a whole to make a judgment. While it may be easy in any campaign to change the powers and alignments of those beings with whom you differ, remember that drastic changes can also influence the all-important game balance of any given campaign. While Deities Demigods is ideally suited to the task of working deities into an AD&D campaign format, everything has not been covered in the book. In the 6,000-year plus span of this work, mankind has spent a lot of that time adding to the myths dealt with herein. We did not try to encompass everything, and it is silly to assume that the 5 years or so of research that created Deities and Demigods, guys, they had just finished this. Gary told them AD&D was coming, and they turned right around and started this. That's you want to talk about busting one's chops. There are areas that were stressed because they were useful to DMs, whereas others were left out for the same reasons. The book should be used as a beginning framework for the DM. Sample it, take what is wanted, and start the gods as well as the players in a universe. While Deities and Demigods reveals a great many divine powers and a great many powerful devices, it is the duty of the DM to add, change, and otherwise modify the information on these pages for use in a campaign. There's a large list of people that helped in some way with the endeavor, and I want to take the opportunity to mention and thank them. My parents, my wife Jane, Brian Bloom, Ernie Gygax, Will Niebling, Mike Cart, Kevin Bloom, Dave Sutherland, and E. Gary Gygax, who created a game that will outlast us all. And then that's Jim, of course, Jim Ward, credits and acknowledgement, Law Schick, Dave Cook, Alan Hammock, J. Eric Holmes. That's pretty cool, seeing Dr. Holmes mentioned there, especially for his help with the Cthulhu mythos. And Harold Johnson. Thanks is also due to all the people who contributed in some way to the completion of this volume. Kevin Hendricks, Jeff Leeson, Steve Marsh, Tom Mulvey, Brian Pitzer, Paul Reich III, Evan Robinson, and Gene Wells. The organization and completion of this book was an immense task, and the TSR product development staff deserves recognition and praise for their excellent work. Now, in certain volumes of Deities and Demigods, you don't get the next sentence. You don't get the next sentence. Special thanks are also given to Chaosium Incorporated for permission to use the material found in the Cthulhu mythos and Melnibonéan mythos. All right, we're going to zoom in here. Editor's introduction. Well, here it is, Deities and Demigods, the latest addition to the series of advanced D&D volumes. But what exactly is it? Let's see, it has a nice cover. Always understating things a little, Jim. Open it up. Inside there are lots of pictures next to sets of stacked statistics. It must be just like the Monster Manual. There, that was easy. Now we know what it is. We know what to do with it, right? Wrong. Wrong! DDG, for short, may resemble Monster Manual, and in fact does include some monsters. However, the purpose of this book is not to provide adversaries for player characters. Let me repeat that again for people in the back who might not have heard it. The purpose of the book is not to provide adversaries for player characters. And yet, as was said in the chat, we all knew that kid who said they had a character. They rolled him up and took him through Deities and Demigods and killed every god, so therefore they should have 1,000,000 billion hit points, or experience points. We all knew that kid. Maybe you were that kid. However, the purpose of the book is not to provide adversaries for players' characters. The information listed herein is primarily for the dungeon master's use in creating, intensifying, or expanding his or her campaign. No fantasy world is complete without the gods, mighty deities who influence the fates of men and move such mortals about like chess pieces in their obscure games of power. Such figures can be perfect embodiments of the DM's control of the game. They are one of the dungeon master's most important tools in his or her shaping of events. Hey, Wig, Dave L., I'm still that kid. Hey, Wig, if it has stats, we can kill it. Cooley, bah, bug, they have stats. Oh, I love my audience. Oh, God, that's great. ABH, always be ABM, always be murder hoboing. Oh, Lord. Of course, serving a deity, he doesn't mean on a platter. You tool bags. Serving a deity is of greatest importance to clerics. This book should help that sometimes neglected class come into its own. I want to pump the brakes here and pull off for a second and turn around and say something to you kids. Anybody out there? I don't know about other editions, but people I hear this in later editions, like, I don't want to play the cleric, I want to just be the heal bot. Clerics are badass in AD&D. They can use everything but swords to fight. They have decent hit dice. And they get to use magic while wearing armor. Magic users can't do that. They get stuff like Flame Strike. Anyway, it's a cookbook. To serve deities, it's a cookbook. The class is neglected because people don't know how to use it and enjoy it, even without deities and demigods. Sorry, little rant, little polemic there about my feelings about deities and demigods. Hike. All right. Players whose characters are clerics will find much more range and many more possibilities in their roles when the information herein is used to flesh them out completely. Clerics can and should have a great influence on the course of an AD&D campaign. They are prominent members of society, much more so than common fighters or the reclusive magic users and thieves. They often have a close reputation, a close relationship with the populace, and are usually well acquainted with the local leaders. They are looked up to as masters of ritual and keepers of knowledge. In addition to this special relationship with men, a cleric has a special relationship with his or her deity, an affinity usually denied to other mortals. This makes clerics a special class indeed, a class with a lot of room for creative innovation on the part of experienced players. Taking that to heart there, Dungeon Minister? I give you a warm feeling inside. At first glance, dungeon masters may well find the profusion of gods and goddesses in this work confusing. The DM will have to consider with care before choosing which pantheon or pantheons to use in his or her campaign. The DM should consider the flavor of the campaign. Is it medieval, ancient, oriental, or different from all of these? And by the way, folks, oriental is not a dirty word. It just means east. Occidental means west. That's it. If someone constantly referred to me as an Occidental, I wouldn't care. Anyway, which pantheons will be the most appropriate to the milieu? It is possible to imagine a campaign where all the gods in this book, and perhaps more, are coexistent. This would require a truly vast world, one large enough to contain all of the worship necessary to sustain such a multiplicity of gods. You know, Earth 3,000 years ago. Dungeon Minister, I'm an accidental. Dungeon Minister, your mom and I have been meaning to have a talk, his dad said. And Kool-Aid says, west of what? We're on a globe. There's a very funny meme that's it's a picture with the United States in the middle, an arrow pointing to Great Britain, which is, of course, the east of the United States. And underneath the arrow, it says Western Europe. And the other one is pointing at Japan, and it says the Far East. And below that is a react face from Jackie Chan going. The most important thing to remember about this book is that unlike the other AD&D volumes, everything contained in this book is guidelines, not rules. And I'm going to have to call BS on that. All the rules are guidelines, and all the guidelines are rules in AD&D. Okay? And you guys know why, especially if you watch the How to Play AD&D. All the rules are guidelines, and all the guidelines are rules. DDG is an aid for the DM, not instructions. Again, don't agree. We would not presume to tell a dungeon master how to set up his or her campaign's religious systems. Probably no facet of AD&D varies more from campaign to campaign than this, and that's the way it should be. Many DMs will choose to use pantheons or systems other than the ones included herein, or will alter the information presented. Feel free. In our research and compilation of this book, we ourselves have altered many facts, either for reasons of game balance and consistency, or because sources conflict. Deities and Demigods is not a scholarly work or reference. It is a game accessory. After choosing which parameters to use, the best thing you can do as a dungeon master is to take a trip to the library or bookstore and read up on the background of the chosen mythos. There you will discover the fascinating stories behind these immortal characters and get a really solid feel for how to play them. That is solid cast iron advice right there. The other, oops, I blew that. The other half of heroic fantasy is mythology. With Deities and Demigods as an introduction, you can open up whole new realms of wonder. As someone else has said, the possibilities are endless. LJS. And this is a fairly standard. I think we can skip this because this is straight out of the monster manual. Although there are some notes here. Explanatory notes, course frequency, number appearing, armor class. But there's a note on armor class. Occasionally, god or hero's armor class may not jibe with the being's stated armor and dexterity, but this is due to the magical nature of the being. It's magic. I ain't got to explain shit. Infinite on speed indicates that the entity can travel to any point desired with no time lapse, and this is the being's preferred mode of movement. Infinite movement is a sort of continuous, no error teleportability. You know what apparently like third level characters can do in 4th and 5th edition. I don't. So hit points, hit dice, percent in layer, treasure type, of course, we know what that is. Number of attacks. But we're getting into some specifics now. Damage per attack, special attacks, magic resistance. Again, all fairly standard. Although, again, we have a footnote. Special note, certain deities. Come on. Damn this thing. Certain deities have special abilities. of a magical origin that never fail, e.g. a weapon that never misses, or an ability against which there is no save. Creatures with magic resistance may still avoid the effects of these abilities if they make a successful magic resistance roll. To determine level of the ability, or determine level of the deity with a magic ability, use the deity's highest level character class ability, unless it is less than 15th level for demigods, 20th for lesser gods, or 25th for greater gods, in which case the aforementioned levels should be used. Percent liar. Colleen knows what time it is. And then we have the intelligence ratings, which, again, we don't need to go over those. And of course, deities all have symbols, their sigils, a cross, a Star of David, a crescent moon and star. The plane of origin, an outer plane corresponding to the deity's alignments, but sometimes it varies due to the particular sphere of influence, as with those deities. That's what I meant earlier when I said college. Sphere. We'll look a little bit more closer at it, Cooley, to answer your question at the appropriate time. Also, some deities may be located on a plane which seems to conflict with their alignment because other deities of the same pantheon with whom he or she is associated are also located there. Now, in this book, we're going to see that deities and indeed some heroes can have classes that seem very inconsistent with their alignments and other classes they have. Like, I don't think there's anything this extreme, but you might see Paladin Ranger 15th in each, and then you go down and he's like 10th level thief, 5th level assassin. Hold up. And he's neutral good. How does, it doesn't jive. They're gods. They are gods. And right there it says, nothing prevents deities from functioning in several different, apparently inconsistent classes at once. Fighter, this refers to the being's ability to function as a fighter, paladin, or ranger. Alignment does not necessarily preclude inconsistent classing here either. Magic user, illusionist, thief, assassin. Alignment does not preclude. Monk, bard. This refers to the being's abilities as a monk or bard, if any. Note that alignment is not necessarily a consideration here either. And psionic ability. This is something that I will backport to the monster manual to help flesh out psionically endowed creatures. There are different classes. We're going to work backwards. 6, no abilities at all. 5, 90 to 110 strength. Disciplines, 2 minor, 1 major, and then attack defense modes. 4, 181 to 210, 3 minor, 1 major, and all attack defense. I'm not going to bother saying attack defense every time. 3 is 236 to 265, 3 minor, 2 major. 2 is 276 to 315, 4 minor, 2 major, and 1 is 326 to 365, 5 minor, 2 major. And then for disciplines, you would just go through the player's handbook and determine which of those they are. But also note, beings with type 6 cannot use psionics. They're invulnerable to any type of psionic attack, including psionic blast. So if you see a deity with type 6 and you're like, oh, you don't have psionic power, it's not gonna, don't think you can go all Professor X on Odin just because he doesn't have the time to play Brain Super Nintendo with you. Sonic disciplines function at a minimum of 15th level for demigods, 20th for lesser gods, and 25th level for greater gods. If you're going to backport this into the monster manual as I do for level of performance, go by the monster's hit dice. Now, this is one of my favorite parts, not because of all the bonuses it gives characters, but occasionally through a character's race's bonuses or semi-permanent magic item, an Ioun Stone, or permanent magic item, a Tome or Librum, you will get characters whose characteristics exceed 18. If all you have is Monster Manual, Player's Handbook, Dungeon Master's Guide, you're kind of stuck for what to do. If you have this volume, go here. Go here. There's only one place this doesn't really apply. So a 19 strength is +3 to hit, +7 damage. Weight allowance, remember, that's in coins, not pounds. Weight allowance, 450 pounds. Open doors on a 7 and 8. And that number in parentheses next to it indicates that character's ability to knock open wizard-locked doors. Bend bars, lift gates 50% of the time. A 19 strength is truly prodigious strength. You're like, oh, that's not much more than 1850. No, this is on a completely different level. You start going up from like geometric progression from 3 to 18 and even into the percentages. This gets exponential. So strength 20 +3 +8, 500 pounds weight allowance, open doors on a 7 and 8, 60% bend bars, lift gates, and a 3% smash open wizard lock door. 21 +4 +9, 600 pounds, open a door 9 and 10, magic door 4 in 10, 70% chance of bend bars, lift gates. +2 +4 +10, 750 pounds, open doors 11 and 12, smash open a magic door, magically held door 4 and 10, 80% bend bars, lift gates. 23 +5 +11, 900 pounds, 11 and 12. Those open doors, or those magically held doors, are opening on a 5 or a 1 through 5. 90% bend bars, lift gates. 24 +6 +12, 1,200 pounds extra weight. For clarity's sake, if you could find a way to grip them safely, that's 4 fully armored characters and all their kit. Open doors 19 and 20, magic doors 7 and 8, 100% chance to bend bars, lift gates. Strength 25 +7 +14, 1,500 pounds carry, 23 and 24. And open those magic doors 9 and 10. Again, bend bars, lift gates, 100%. And we have all the notations there. And I hope we get to charisma, because I want to talk to you guys about charisma. So intelligence, we have bonuses for intelligence. 19, 95% chance to know each listed spell. Minimum number of spells per level, 11. Guess what? You start getting spell immunities. First level illusion and phantasm spells. Intelligence 20, 96% chance. Minimum number of spells 12. Second level illusionist and phantasm spells, as well as first. That's cumulative. So 21 through 25, that's 96, 97, 98, 99. Minimum number of spells per level, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. And all the way up to 7th level illusion phantasm spells. A character who somehow got into a 25 intelligence ain't ever going to buy a Doug Henning. So take your Vedic flying and go away. Beings of very high intelligence will not be fooled by illusion phantasm spells. Dexterity over 18. And again, apply these liberally to actual characters who gain these extraordinary abilities, except for one place, and we're going to get to that. 19, reaction attacking is +3, defensive is -4, pickpockets 15, open locks 20, locate remove traps 10, move silently 12, hiding in shadows 12. Not great. Not great. But as we go down, our reaction attacking adjustment for 20 is also +3. Defensive is -4. We get a little bit of a bump. Basically, we get a 5% bump for every increase we go here. But by the time we're looking at dexterity 25, defensive adjustment is -6. That person can go out Starkers and their armor class 4. Ain't that cool? Defensive adjustment -6, picking pockets 45, opening locks 50. Locate and remove traps 40, move silently 30, hide in shadows 30. And that's only for thieves or assassins. Constitution 19 and 20 +5, no one's rolled. You got a fighter, he's got a Constitution 19. Oh, let's roll for your hit points. Oh, I got a 1. Nope. That becomes a 2. And you get 5 on top of that. Add 1 to your poison save. But check this out. At 20, your character starts regenerating damage. That extra 45 is because they're doing it in their birthday suit. So by the time we're at Constitution 25, hit point adjustment per die is +7. No 1s, 2s, or 3s. If you roll a 1, 2, or 3, it counts as a 4. Charisma. Now, this is important. We've gone down all the cool stats. Charisma. Here we hit something that you, player, no matter how good your charisma gets, you don't get, and that is awe power. So score of 19, 20 henchmen, their loyalty base is 50%, reaction adjustment is 40, and it increases 10 on the scale of loyalty and 5 on the scale of reaction from there. So by the time we reach 25, oh, and for henchmen in groups of 5. So by the time we reach 25, your maximum number of henchmen is 50. Not hirelings, henchmen. Leveled characters who will serve you willingly. You can have 50 of them. Their loyalty base is 100%. The reaction adjustment of anyone you meet is 70%. But let's talk about that far right column, awe power. Awe power applies only to deities and demigods and heroes. And I don't mean heroes as in characters. I mean heroes that they designate, that they send from heaven or from wherever their plane is to do for them. And that might not be all of them. They might say, no, you don't need awe power. That up to 1 hit dice per level and 2, 4, 6, or 2, 4, 8, 6, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12 hit dice per level. A deity with charisma of 25 that encounters a group of, let's say, half hit die commoners, 24 of them for a single round will do nothing but stare in rapt attention and joy and love and admiration. That's it. That's all they'll do. No save. Everything they say will be viewed in the most favorable fashion. They won't attack. Nothing. No matter how good your character gets, they never get that divine aura. They never get that. I didn't know you wanted the PDF, Todd. I would have gotten it to you a long time ago, brother. And Damien, no, the paladin never gets all power. Never. Until he or she becomes a deity, they never get that. It is defined as reverential fear or dread or overpowering desire to worship caused by the mere sight and presence of a divinity. You know the Bible, when the angel comes to the shepherds for the Annunciation, you know what his first two words are? They aren't "be happy." They aren't "Christ is born." They're "fear not." Because when those shepherds saw the angels, reverential awe and fear. And the angel, bless its heart, wanted to just, hey, it's okay. Calm down. This is good. Now, guess what? So you always think of your player character stats as going up, 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 right? Note that the all power applies only to divine beings, gods and demigods. Mortal born persons who somehow acquire godlike charisma will not radiate this aura. So you want your character stats to go up, 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 up. Some divinities are so loathsome and repellent as to actually have negative charisma. This applies only to the truly ghastly divine beings. The horror which their appearance and presence inspires causes creatures in the hit dice or level range noted below to be stunned with fear and detestation until the being is no longer in sight. While in this condition, a creature can do nothing but defend itself physically against attacks. As with all power, even if a person were to be given negative charisma through some terrible curse or change, he or she would not acquire the horror ability. The reaction of the average creature to a hypothetical non-divine being with a negative charisma would be a desire to kill it immediately. And then we go all the way from -1 to -7. Now, why Jim didn't take us all the way through -25, I don't know. Perhaps because reaction adjustment past -100 would just be ridiculous. But we see horror and we see reaction adjustments starting at -40 all the way to -70. Beings with negative charisma will never have henchmen of a normal nature. No, I would say Orcus. Well, no, Orcus, yeah, kind of a rotting ram's face on top of that bloated body with the goat legs. Now, take Asmodeus. Please. Take Asmodeus. Take even Geryon is described as being just so beautiful, his face and his upper body. That's just the bottom half that's a snake and the wings and everything. Dispater is terminally handsome. But yeah, Dweeblex, Orcus, etc. You might throw some negative charisma at them. Adjust accordingly. So we'll look a little bit more here this evening. But guess what? When you become a deity, you get the standard divine abilities package. Command as the spell, but lasting for 2 rounds for lesser gods and 3 rounds for greater gods. There's no saving throw. Comprehend languages. Read or write any language in question. Detect alignment. Detect the alignment of objects or creatures without error. Gate. Attempt to gate in other beings of the same mythos. Yes, as a spell, but with a range of 9 inches, that's 90 feet underground, 90 yards above ground. I'm going to run away from you. Please come back. Okay. Quest as the spell, but with a range of 9 inches and no saving throw. I'm not going to do that. Yes, you are. Well, I'm going to go over so I don't have to hear you say I do. Yes, you are. Okay. Teleport. This is an inherent ability which allows the deity to teleport from place to place or from plane to plane with no error. True seeing as the spell. The above abilities all function instantaneously and at will, but not continuously. The gods sometimes manifest surprising abilities that are not otherwise noted, such as the power to change characters' ability scores, grant wishes or their opposites, or teleport others wherever they wish. Exercise of such bonus powers falls entirely within the realm of the DM's judgment. Luther says, just had an opportunity to buy Deities and Demigods of the Arkham Cthulhu, but it's $125. Just couldn't do it. It is a dumb price, I feel, particularly if it's not in great condition, like mine is not in great condition. But also, these days, $125 is about the best you're going to do on it. I hate to say it. Saving throws. They all have a saving throw category of 2. Only a 1 on a d20 will they miss their save. This is in addition to any other magic resistance, of course. All heroes delineated in this book have saves in all categories of 3. Gods and heroes' saving throw numbers are irreducible regardless of magical aids and adjustments. And a ridiculously badass picture by Jeff D is right here, and that's where we're going to stop on the evening. So Richard Ramirez is apparently a puppeteer. I'm sorry, David S. LaForce. I said Jeff D. I was the D, David. Anyway. Now, I'm going to say this. I didn't know of any dungeon masters when I was a kid that were that buff and used puppets at the table. I feel like I got ripped off. Like I got robbed. A little disappointed. But apparently Dave LaForce did, or someone at the TSR offices did. So I'm getting what is the Iron Maiden album, Number of the Beast vibe out of that cover. You've got Eddie standing over the abyss, pulling the puppet strings on the devil, who's pulling the puppet strings on a band member. But anyway, beautiful long hair. Well, I have that. Well, I have long hair. Okay. I have long hair. Oh, I don't agree with you, Luther, but, no, I'm not going to argue with you about it right now. So next time, Monday, we're going to come back to this. And we're going to talk about dungeon mastering divine beings. So we're going to look at some notes for how to do that. And we're not too far off getting into the Pantheon, guys. Don't run away thinking, oh man, we're never, I don't know if you're going to sound like Hank Hill meets Boomhauer and gets into the mumbling there, but no, we're going to get into this some more. We got about 10 minutes before we start Call of Cthulhu. That pic is a drawing of Chow Yun Fat. I don't know. I think he's more buff than that. Like Chow Yun Fat always seemed more. That's Chow Yun Fat over there on the wall, which you guys can't see. That's Chow Yun Fat. That guy's not Chow Yun Fat. I think Chow Yun Fat's proportioned a little bit more realistically than the guy in the Deities and Demigods book. But anyway, yes, I see you folks there in the green room. Some folks are stepping up in the green room. So Monday, we're going to pick back up there. We're going to look at how to DM these guys. We're going to look at clerics and deities, mortality and immortality, not morality and immorality. I think most people who play D&D have a pretty good handle on what is immoral behavior, you bunch of degenerates. And then we're going to answer the age-old question. Hey, what if my character gets all 25s? Can he become a god? We're going to address that, and then we're going to dive straight in after that to the myths, which is, I think, what you guys are largely there for, and I think you'll enjoy it. Murder hobos drive the industry. Praxis. All right. So we're going to, like I said, we're going to be starting Call of Cthulhu here in just a minute. Sorry for the hair flip there, guys. But before we do that, I just want to take a minute to thank the folks who help support the show. So many of you help support the show. I mean, I would have to do a show after the show, just thanking everyone who supports the show just by coming to the Discord or subscribing to the YouTube channel. Speaking of the YouTube channel, what are we currently sitting at? In just a second here. What are we currently sitting at? Let me go over to YouTube, the tube of you. Oh no, is that right? Yeah. Okay. The channel dashboard. Channel dashboard. We have 1,358 subscribers. Ain't that grand? Smash the Malay button. So yeah, welcome everyone who has subscribed and has stuck around for this mayhem and fun that we do on a nightly basis, 5 nights a week. Where do you find classic RPG content live for hours, 5 nights a week? You don't. It's just me. It's just me, baby. It's just me. Although there are some absolutely fantastic folks out there. But let me thank the folks who do help. Joshua Garlock, Lord Corion, Ricky Maru, Mobius, Kevin Reynolds, Doomsword Deathmaster, Mark Simpson, Damian X247, James F. Keck, William Smith, The Dungeon Minister, Manny Wall, Mark Corey, Kevin Wood, Todd Sharp, Carnivore Farmer, Rob, Jeremy Rule, Bo Ganora, Mikey Mank, Sky Hernstrom, Pete Sullivan, the DM Council, and Baron Von Headbanger. Thank you all for being regular contributors to the show. Thank you all so much for doing that thing. Now, the question has come up, because we've got a few minutes before we start Call of Cthulhu. The question has come up, what am I going to do about Patreon and what am I going to do about PayPal? I will keep you guys informed. That's all I really want to talk. I know they have been exceptionally garbage lately in how they've been treating customers. So Never fear. I'm not just going to, oh, maybe if I ignore it, it'll go away. So fear not. I'm not just going to leave it on the ground. TJ says, how much does a good 144-page version go for? Of Deities and Demigods? A good clean copy, $125 to $175. A copy that is, say, let's say, just for the sake of argument, that I was to completely lose my mind or be so out of my mind in need of money that I was going to sell my I'm not going to part with this. My very worn out copy, which you can see, I don't have to put it on close cam. You can see how worn out it is. The corners are bashed. My friend Jeff wrote me this great poem inside before he donated. Well, no, he gave it to me as a gift. He has colored in some of the images inside. You can see there when he was a kid. I could probably ask $85 for this and get it. But as you may have noted, there is a PDF of it floating around out there. This is unobtainium, so if you seek out a copy and then get it printed and bound properly in hardback form, good for you. I salute you. And in fact, until or unless, I encourage you to do it. Not to take anything away from Wizards of the Coast, but to make sure you get a value add. Now, if you're feeling particularly guilty after that, buy the PDF of it. Buy the PDF of it, then seek this out and get this one printed and bound. And then everybody wins. Everybody wins. Everybody will win. I need to, let's see. I need to open up my Call of Cthulhu stuff for tonight's game. So open those. At least I hope we'll open those. There we go. And then I'll close these. By the way, did you guys enjoy the deep dive? Are you continuing to enjoy the deep dive format that we're doing? I hope so. I hope that you are. Oh, do they not sell Deities and Demigods? I know they sold the expurgated version for the longest time. Dave L., I understand. I understand your feelings. Yeah, they don't sell the unexpurgated version. Which is, and again, why I say, if you feel compelled, because again, it is an unobtainium, but there is kind of a version out there, you can get the expurgated version and then salve your conscience accordingly. But that's up to you, not me. That's up to you and not me. I'm glad you think that, TJ. It's going to be starting here in just a few moments. Oh, I just had a question in a Discord. Somebody asked me, this is over in the general chat, 1E, like it's 1983. What would constitute the opposite of wishes? Just if you wished for 1,000,000 gold, you would forever be impoverished. If you wished for great beauty, you would be eternally ugly. If you wish for the death of an enemy, you yourself would die. And gods are capable of divining things. If you said, I wish I was eternally poor, the god's not going to go, oh, I'll teach him, you'll be eternally rich. Maybe you would be eternally rich, but you would be forever besieged by people seeking to steal your gold, and you would be made miserly and paranoid, never able to enjoy a single glass bead. Perhaps that would be the opposite of make me wealthy. Perhaps not. We'll have to see at a later time, because tonight and now, as part of the season of Samhain, the month of fear, the time of horror, we now leave behind the fanciful world of Dungeons and Dragons and step timidly into the dark, shadowy realm of Call of Cthulhu, and we welcome our players. James Keck, how are you?
I'm wonderful, thank you.
It's good to see you. We have Todd there as Danforth Taylor, Doomsword as Miles Worthington, and Kevin, of course, as Professor James Smith.
Hello.
Investigators, do you require a recap?
Barnabas, get the goddamn satchel. I gotta get going.
So I just want to say I am actually playing Call of Cthulhu in an actual haunted house.
Well, all right. I let's hope they're more attentive and curious than hostile and angry about your dabbling in the mythos of evil and magic. Now,
if they are bad, please vocalize.
Yeah. Blink twice. Okay, so last week, reporter Miles Worthington had been seeking information and libation around that storied town of Arkham, Massachusetts. Previous days, after you had received your commission to travel with a joint expedition of Norwegian and British explorers to some heretofore unknown island on the other side of the world, or perhaps the other end of the world is the more appropriate designation, called Bouvet Island. You had set about to discover as much as you could about the place. The British, not ever keen for letting go of even the most marginal piece of land, had somehow come to an agreement with the Norwegians to hand this small frozen island over to them. As this was a landmark occasion, not just for science, for geography, but for diplomacy that the United States had helped broker. Your characters, as part of a mission to witness the handover, had been dispatched by Miskatonic University and by the Arkham Tattler in the case of Miles Worthington. And so you set about to study, and it was there you met one of the crew members of the ship that was to take you all to that distant land. And he told you a frightening tale of his perilous journey during the First World War, when the ship of refugees he was on board was sunk out from underneath him, and he was the only survivor. it was enough to put a chill into all of your hearts and cast a cloud over what should have been an otherwise interesting and exciting journey to one of the few remaining unexplored areas reachable on the high seas. Perhaps even more disturbing was, as scholarly pursuits drew the professor and Danforth and Trevor away, Miles Worthington, Miles engaged in a more simple pursuit. And it was on that morning that the body of the Norwegian sailor was discovered, lashed to a piling underneath a pier, upside down, drowned by an inrushing high tide. And that is where we return. The police have found the body, and inquiries are starting to be made. Miles, you're there when I'm sorry, go ahead.
Can I be sure that it's not a result of the opiates that I've taken the night before?
Give me an idea roll, please.
That would be a 20.
Yes, you are quite certain that what you are experiencing is all too real. Now, you went down and looked at the body. You did not take a sand loss, despite the rather gruesome condition it was in. Or did you take like a point sand loss? I don't recall.
I took none.
Okay, you took none. The police have started to gather around, and queries come immediately to you. All right, sir, what's all this going on around here? Clancy tells me they found a body under the pier, and I find you, a newspaper reporter, Worthington. I should have known you'd be at the center of such nonsense.
I always am. Just getting the scoop, my man.
He waves his truncheon at you and kind of pushes you aside and kind of staggers back, handkerchiefs over his mouth. Saints preserve us.
Saints preserve you, eh?
Now step aside. This is the scene of a death. I don't need you leaving your footprints around.
Sure. All I need is a view from a distance. Have fun with this one.
And there are onlookers starting to gather. More police have arrived. They're investigating the. They're starting to look at the body, and police officer Clancy says to you, I know that flop house you live in, Worthington. I've got questions for you. Don't leave town just yet.
I'll leave town someday, not just yet. Far too much time.
You went full robot on us there, but he says, and do something about that stutter. Okay, so the rest of you go through your studies during the day there at the library at Miskatonic University. Is there anything specific other than what we discussed in the last session that you are doing that we might want to library use roll or anything like that for?
I can't think of anything that Trevor would want to look up any further.
No, I'm filling out the postcards, so for the people that are going to miss me on my trip.
Yes.
I thought you threw those away.
No, I just the one that was a little bit bawdy.
Ah, okay.
I mean, it was from France, so it wasn't just body. It was, like...
Yeah, gross, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where's all this hair from? And I was like, nope.
Okay, so some time passes. And I'm gonna, let's see. Oh wow. Okay. So some time passes, and the rest of you, as you're on campus there, yes, as students come and go, there's a group of students there. They're looking through, biology studies, something. You're not entirely sure enough, but you're close enough by. And one of them says, "Well, no, I just heard it was a bunch of seaweed, and someone thought it was a body. No, it was a body. It was most certainly a body. And they say that it was crucified upside down, its cross standing in the sand underneath the pier." And another said, "I heard that its eyes had been torn out." And another says, No. The eyes were there. It was the tongue that was torn out. And this kind of goes on. They're clearly all playing a game of telephone with each other about facts about whatever this is they're discussing. And as you're standing there listening to this, a police officer walks in, speaks to the librarian, who points directly at you, and he walks over and he says, good evening, gentlemen. I was wondering if you might accompany me to the police station. There is an inquiry regarding something that happened earlier today at the Arkham Pier.
You're speaking about the crucified sailor?
Sir, I'm afraid I don't know nothing about no crucified sailor. But I'm asking you if you would nicely please to come along with me, and we can discuss this matter at the station house. As soon as you say, "Are you speaking about the crucified sailor?" like this group of kids, are students, they stop and they look at you guys. There's a police officer standing there.
How does any of this have to do with any of us here? We've been in the library all morning.
Sir, I understand that. Regardless, this is a police matter, so if I could ask you, please, to come along with me.
I'll look at the rest of the group. Gentlemen?
Danforth is already just packing up his stuff in his bag, and he's getting ready to follow the officer.
I look at him and see. I look him up and down and see if he could take me.
Yeah, dude, he's like size 15. He's got a he's got a revolver. He's got a nightstick. The nightstick has obvious dents in it.
Yeah. So, win? Follow you now?
Yes, please, if you could.
Okay.
Trevor packs his paperwork and books into his satchel and slings it over his shoulder.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll pack my satchel up that I finally have found and get out there.
Okay. So it is a we're gonna say that he actually has a motor car. There is an official police motor car, closed cab, and he drives you there. Does anyone wish to engage him in conversation?
I will.
Okay.
So, what's all this about anyway?
What is your charisma? I'm sorry, appearance. Appearance.
I am looking. 12.
12. Okay, so he kind of leans over and says, Well, sir, I'm not supposed to launch into any specific details, but it seems that there has been a death of someone that you may or may not have been associated with.
Someone from the university?
I can't really say any more about that, sir.
Right. So, how do you think those Boston Braves are going to be doing this year? Do you think they'll win the pennant?
He says, "Yeah, well, ever since McCloskey broke his elbow sliding in back mid-season, I don't think they got a good chance at it, sir."
Yeah, same here. It's sad.
All right, so you arrive at the police station. As all this has gone on, Miles, they've sent someone around it. Like, you barely have time to walk into your apartment home there in your the room you rent in the brownstone when there's Clancy.
There's a really good Looney Tunes skit for this.
Clancy again.
All right, Worthington.
All right, Clancy.
All right.
Well, you came for something.
Yeah, well, you're coming down to the station for questioning.
Oh, am I?
You are.
Well, that's fortunate because I was intending to come down to the station to question you.
He kind of arches an eyebrow at you. Just get down the stairs.
Yeah, we know how it goes, don't we?
Yeah, you've butted heads with Clancy before. He's, he is what he is. He's an Irish beat cop in 1920s America on the Massachusetts shore. You have come within an inch, you think, of catching him taking bribes and so on, and several people close to Clancy were taken down. You'll take at least partial credit for those investigations, but that has not engendered you any friends in the police department. Let me tell you what.
I imagine not.
So you find yourselves back at the police station. And once you're all kind of in the interview room together, there's a couple of beat cops, and Clancy kind of walks up and down and says, "So, I have it that little Norwegian squint got himself a lungful of seaweed, did he now? And that poor feller, the last people he was seen with was you lot. Which of you has something to say to me about this feller's death?"
Is he tapping his billy club?
Not yet.
All right, cool. Well, let's make him do that then.
Still swinging from his hip. Okay.
Well, I got something to say. I always got something to say, don't I? We've been down this road many times before. Hey, I seen it. Yeah, my friends were in the library. They were studying a bunch of stuff, and I walked out there, and I just happened to see it. I happened to be on the beach, as a matter of fact. Seen some commotion. Wandered over thereabouts.
And don't you think it's just a little bit curious that one of my patrol officers would come and find you, the little reporter who could, standing next to a dead body underneath a pier?
Hey, listen, I'm a journalist. My point is to be in the right place at the right time. Not curious at all.
Oh ho, is that what you call it now?
Well,
right.
You call it whatever you want.
I call it
merchant. Whatever.
Pretty damn suspicious is what I call it.
Nah, you call everything suspicious.
I'm a police officer, you little typewriter freak. It's my job.
Well, that's my point exactly now, isn't it?
Again, my good sir, I spoke to the other officer when he would picked us up. What does this have to do with the rest of us?
I agree
All right.
with you.
All right, Professor. All of yous were seen in the company of that Norwegian feller they found side upside down on the pylons underneath the pier. All of yous were. So you all knew him. You all knew something he might have been up to.
What about all the people who were walking around on the pier?
You're
Did
making
they
this
know
an
him too?
international incident. No one knows the time he disappeared, but everybody saw you lot at the diner.
Yeah. Well, this is what I would
Yes.
expect from a beat cop.
He's a foreign national. You're going to create an international incident is what you're going to do.
Looks like it may
Hopefully.
have already happened.
Does this beat cop have any stripes on his shoulder? I mean, has it been there long enough to make sergeant?
He is a sergeant.
Danforth will step up and say, Sergeant, I don't know what happened to the poor man. He was wandering aimlessly around the campus last night. We all kind of ran into each other, and he looked like he was down on his luck, so we took him to the diner and bought him a hot meal, and in return, man, he told us a story that would just rip your heart out. It was sad. But that's as far as knowing him that we have to offer.
Well, Professor, you'll pardon me if I say that's mighty fishy story you're telling there, but we'll see how true it is or is not. We'll see how true it is or is not.
How long is it going to take to see? Because I got business to attend to. Am I detained or what?
Worthington, you know the score. Don't leave town unless I say you can go.
There is a bit of a problem with that, actually, Sergeant. You see, we're all representing the United States in a diplomatic mission on the boat that poor man, I guess, served on. I don't know. So we will be leaving town when the government tells us it's time to go on our mission. So, I mean, maybe you need to call the mayor, the president, or someone.
Okay. Let's see. I think we're going to need to do an opposed roll here because you're basically kind of backing him into a corner. So let's see. I think
I'm fixing to get punched, aren't I?
+5 for the nightstick.
wump, wump, wump.
Don't tell me this is Sergeant Bubba.
Not you, fancy boy.
Roll and an
If this
English
is Sergeant
roll
Bubba,
and
I'm
a
toast.
persuade roll.
Okay. Oh wow. Okay. So he says he looks at you. Go ahead and roll percentile dice, and I'm gonna modify this slightly, but give me. Do you have fast talk?
I have bargain, which is I think the same as if I read the rules right.
It's a little more focused towards buying and selling, but I think it might be a little applicable. Give me a bargain roll.
All right, here we go.
Because a good sales pitch can overcome a lot of things.
I didn't make it. My bargain is 55, and I rolled a 68, so no dice, as it were. Well,
yeah, he's not he's a little easier with telling you, well, we'll just have to see, but he's clearly not saying, oh, okay, well, you guys can leave. Does anyone here have law?
I do.
5%.
Yeah, I mean, everybody has a base of 5%.
Well, no, I have a 35% law. I have read a couple of law books.
Reading the law, dun, dun, reading the law. All right, go ahead and give me a law roll to see if you can convince him on legal grounds.
All right, here we go.
You don't have to blow him up. I mean, just talk to him.
Oh, man.
What?
Horrible. Law was 35. I rolled a 64. And those dice are going in the microwave, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, yeah, he's like, you're telling a good sea story there, Professor, but I still need to make sure that none of you folks leave town. Am I going to have to put a patrol officer in front of your houses to make sure you stay put?
Listen, I don't think that's necessary. You and I both know that this is my place. This is my place of business. This is my place of establishment. We've been through this many times. I've got a hot lead to follow, all right? And I would appreciate it if you give us a little bit of leeway. Otherwise, we're going to be in a situation where I don't give you a little bit of leeway. Stories tell themselves, unless I tell them. They could be true. They could be false. It's really up to you.
And you can always call the dean of the university to verify the fact that we are working with the United States government.
And Dean Schmeen, I'll smear his ass too.
Wow. Okay, so that is going to be, let's see. That's going to be another law roll, throwing the dean in there. So if you want to roll that one again.
Okay, here we go. We're going with the white dice for those keeping score at home. Are you guys going to the microwave, or are you going to play nice for daddy? Oh, you're flirting with the microwave. Law is 35. I rolled a 48.
Oh,
Well, you're getting better. You're getting better.
You're feeling less.
can psychology work with this if we phrase something? I've got psychology. I don't know if that would.
No, that's more diagnosing the crazy.
Okay.
I
didn't know if I could work crazy a little bit there.
And your understanding of Clancy is that, he's like most middle ground bureaucrats of his type. He's hungry for enough power to give him authority to push people around, but not so much that he has any responsibility. And he's arrived there. And he's not going to do anything to rock the boat. That's what you pick up.
Excuse me, Sergeant, is it? Certainly, you don't want to have to do any extra paperwork trying to keep up with all of us.
Oh, okay. All right. Give me a psych roll then.
Okay.
Good one.
Let's see. No, not that good. 84.
Yeah.
To the microwave.
All right.
That would be the Discord roller.
All right. So he's basically not going to just let you guys ride off into the sunset, but you do have a couple of more days. I think we got up to day 3 or 4 of the week you have before you depart from Arkham. So you have a few days.
Well, Danforth will turn to the sergeant and say, there are many things that I have to do. And if someone that was in our company was murdered, from what you believe, then who's to say the murderer won't also target one of us? I would feel safer if either you yourself or a able-bodied patrol person could escort me around to make sure I don't end up like the Norwegian.
Murdered, you say? Now, when you come in here, I simply said the man was dead. I never said he'd been murdered. You're the one talking about murder, sir.
Well,
what
that's
me too,
because in the library, all we heard was the murdered sailor hung upside down underneath the pier. His eyes were gone. His tongue was gone. Strange things. So,
They were speaking of crucifixion as well.
Seems like you keep a pretty close ear on matters of murder and mutilation.
well, when it's a small town, and you know how college kids will talk.
I know that bunch of propeller head bookworms up there. Look, as far as any police escorts, when you need one, you'll get one. As for now, as I say, ya don't leave town. Not without my okay first. Now get going, the lot of you. And you are led out of the interview room on to the evening streets of Arkham.
As I walk out the door, I'm going to say, just casually, not to anybody in specific, I really appreciate the rule of law. One of these days it'll actually show up.
Yeah. I got his.
Okay, yeah, you... Okay, so give me a luck roll, please.
Yeah, I'm not a very lucky guy.
Somebody's getting beat.
Apparently.
Yeah, well, get it over with, out of the way, right?
Right.
What is my luck? 75. Okay.
Yeah, it's not bad.
That's real good.
Yeah, that's extremely lucky.
I got a 23.
A 23. Okay, noted. All right, so it is late afternoon of day 3. You have 4 days before the Norse explorer travels from Arkham to its destination. What do you guys wish to do with your time now?
Danforth is going to go ahead and start preparing for the trip, getting all the necessary clothing, supplies, things like that he would need.
Yeah, Trevor is as well.
Okay. As far as cold weather gear, that, it has been explained, will be provided by the mission. Each nation's mission, as you are their ambassadorial guests. But little items, if there's anything that you want to buy, of course, you guys have the Call of Cthulhu rule books. Anything within reason, please. No, I want 5 pieces of dynamite and a field howitzer. No.
There's no Sears nearby, is what you're saying.
I was thinking more along the lines of certain liquids that are designed to keep the human body warm and can be used for currency on the open sea.
I will point out that prohibition is not universal, and this is a British/Norwegian ship you're going on. It may well be that once you're out to like past the 3-mile limit, the sound of corks being popped open may deafen you temporarily.
Well, yes, but American drink is very well sought after.
American drink is not easy to find. It's bathtub gin about this time, dude.
Right.
Well, I tell you what, give me a luck roll.
Okay, here we go, white dice.
First, give me an idea roll.
All right, here we go. Come on, white dice. Daddy needs to go to a speakeasy. All right, let's see. Idea is 55. I rolled 21. White dice, you have redeemed yourself.
Okay, you think maybe if you ask some of the more licentious students, you might get an idea of who to talk about, and you're the You're like the 70s, 80s, 90s equivalent of the square professor asking on campus where he can buy some pot, man. Now give me a luck roll.
Okay, here we go. Sticking with the hot dice. Ooh, yes, sir. Luck 45. I rolled a 17, baby.
Joe sent me, and in you go. There is behind a metal door down an alley in the meatpacking district of Arkham is an almost New York-esque vibe inside the speakeasy once you make a couple of J turns down a brick hallway. The upper crust of Arkham society is here buying drinks, and the coat check girl will absolutely sell you a pint bottle of, and since you rolled your luck so very, you know what, give me another luck roll.
All right, come on. White dice, you're on a roll, baby. Ooh, yeah, I rolled an 87 on that one.
Yeah,
That's an 87.
she will absolutely sell you a bottle of gin. They have gin for sale.
Outstanding.
So a pint of gin will cost you, this being prohibition prices, this is going to cost you $7 for a pint of gin.
Loud, that's a lot of money.
It certainly is. For those of you playing along at home, that's about $48, $49 for a pint of what is almost certainly, if it's gin, it's half water. If it's all gin, it's bathtub gin.
$40 in what, 2002?
Well, yeah, these days.
Yeah, it's probably 4,000 now.
Either way, that gin will clean your insides.
And your outsides. Don't spill that on any cloth. All right, is there anything else you wish to do in the speakeasy? The drink is flowing. There are a couple of gaming tables. There's a jazz band rocking away in the corner.
Yeah, Danforth will just, carouse around a bit, see if he can dance with the girl, just, blow off some steam before he goes.
Okay. Certainly. Yeah, and you don't really recognize anyone. It's just, it's brightly lit, but everyone's moving around so quickly. There's a haze of cigarette smoke and so on, so you can spend the rest of the evening. How about the rest of you? Professor James, what are you doing? Professor Smith?
Oh, James Smith, yeah.
Yeah.
That's me.
That's you.
Yeah, I'm going to, I was busy thinking about something. I'm going to go to the hardware store, and I'm going to pick up I want to pick up a Thompson, but I suck on those things, so I want to get a heater.
Okay.
Even though I know, myths don't really give us much satisfaction with one, just in case.
Oh, no, that's certainly fine. As I often say to players of Call of Cthulhu who are just like, why buy guns? We're going to be dead anyway. It's not the monsters so much that are the worry. It's the cultists.
Right. Well, and the other players when they go nuts.
Yeah, and on the others.
So yeah, I'm gonna try to get a heater if I can.
Okay, so let's look at our price list.
45 automatic if possible. Should be the period.
Yeah. They've got one, and I'm not. Let me see here. See if I can. Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. We have the latest model from Colt. It is the model 1911A6, a very, very, very modern firearm, sir.
Sure thing. A6, huh? Okay. How how much for it? And then I look through my memory of my character and try to figure out where the dollars are.
Okay. It is $25, and you can get for $30 you can get the gun and 3 boxes of ammunition.
That's what I want.
Okay. He packs it all into a nice pasteboard box there. It's got the Colt logo embossed on the top. Anything else, sir?
Maybe something that doesn't require ammunition. Do you have a decent knife, small? Something you put in your pocket?
Yes, sir. We have several folding blades right over here. May I recommend case, sir?
You can. And if you show me where that is and what it looks like, I'll be more than happy to buy one.
Yeah, he's got lock blades there. And Game Master's apology, the 45 automatic is $30, but you have the ready funds.
Okay.
So yeah, the knife is an additional $3.
Cheaper than booze. I'll pass him the bills, and I'll bid him adieu, and thank you for the recommendation.
Okay. He thanks you for your business and sends you on your way. Worthington, are you out flipping the bird to more police officers, or what are you doing right now?
I want to do 2 things, and one of them was recommended by Professor James Smith, and it's a very good point. I would like to pick up a 32, but first, what I would like to do is go back to the paper, tell Jeanette, get on Clancy. He's up to no good again. I don't care if it's true. I don't care if it's false. I don't care if it's made up. We need to dig into this. I think they have something to do. I think the PD is hiding something about that crucified body.
What is your persuasion, please?
Oh, that's a good question, actually.
Which for Miles, I think should be pretty good. You have a persuasion, actually.
It should be pretty good.
Of 21. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, 21.
It's taken a few dings. It might have been better, back when you were 20, fresh-faced, bright-eyed young reporter.
Yeah, I try to fast talk most of the time.
Sure. Go ahead and roll me a persuasion roll.
All right, I'm going to roll that with my new first print prototype Dungeon Delver commemorative dice.
Ooh.
Oh, they fell. 29.
1D floor. Oh, they were very close. Yeah, she just kind of rolls her eyes and picks up a piece of paper, rolls it into the typewriter, and says, "Sure, I'll start typing that up right away."
Yeah, well, get on it. This is a big scoop. I know what your right away means. You'll find out soon enough. Just as
all right.
Always do.
Okay, and finally, we come to Trevor Hartman. What is Trevor?
And I'm sorry, was I able to pick up a 32 revolver?
Yes, you were. That is going to set you back 32.
Boxes of ammo too, at least 2 of them.
Yeah, so $25 for the handgun and 2 boxes of ammo.
Thank you.
Okay. During my studies of the island, did I detect any sign of or any information about types of animals that might be found, or were there no animals whatsoever on the island?
Seals, penguins, and no seabirds were observed, but likely. Is what you get. If you want to give me a library use, you can get into specifics, but that is just at a glance.
Got a 33 out of 60.
Oh yeah. Okay, so yeah, they're breaking down the genus. going by size. We saw this many, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All the details. You are on a first name basis with the seals and penguins that they spotted on the island.
Well, I guess a rifle might be overkill, but that's what I'm familiar with. I wonder if I can find some place to purchase a rifle. I guess I'll go to the hardware store.
Hardware store. 22 bolt action is $25. A 30-06, which has a little bit more kick to it, if you don't mind me saying so, sir, is $50. That is a princely sum. That is like nearly a month's wages.
Is that within my means, or should I go with the 22?
No. That's within your means.
Okay, yeah, I'll look it over, inspect it, and make sure it's in decent shape before I commit. Can I figure out if it's worth it?
Oh yeah, no. This is a new firearm. This is
new. Okay.
Used at a pawn shop. Yeah.
I nod. I say, I'll take this, and I suppose 4 boxes of ammunition.
Okay, the 4 boxes of ammunition is going to set you back $12. Sure. So $62. He says, "You know, sir, you're the 3rd gentleman to come in here and buy a firearm today. I might have to close early."
Well, it was most likely my friends. Have a good day, sir.
Doesn't have anything to do with that ghastly scene at the wharf, does it?
Not entirely, no.
Yes, well, best of luck to you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, so you have your 30-06 bolt action rifle. It is made by Springfield Arms Corporation.
Sweet.
The real one, not the current one.
Yeah, the real one, not the current one. It has a fire rate of 1 bullet every 2 rounds, because you will have to jack the lever every time you wish to fire a round, and eject cartridge, feed cartridge, close bolt, bring to aim. All right, so you're all armored up. The next day, and since you failed your persuasion roll, unfortunately, you don't hear about this until almost the last minute. Oh, well, wait, let me pump the brakes for a second. Is anyone doing anything else during the evening?
Eating somewhere, perhaps?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna see, since we're under suspicion, I'm gonna be a little more cognizant of, let's say the authoritarian type in my area.
Okay.
That's what I'm gonna do.
Give me a spot hidden roll, please.
Okay. Let's see what we got here.
Obeying the law, obeying the law, obeying the law, obeying the law.
47. What is my spot hidden? It is 25. So yeah, I see all kinds of neat stuff. Not what I was looking for.
Yeah, that outside of the your house there in Arkham, there's a police officer who's been standing under the street lamp, and the only movement he's done is when another police officer approaches him and he leaves.
Okay.
So you are very cognizant that there's a police officer watching you.
Okay. They're not trying to be sneaky. Okay.
No.
Good for them. Okay. That's it, really. I'm going to stay at the house and I'm going to go through my notes and stuff and see if I could dig anything up that might relate.
Okay. When you say stuff that might relate, what are you looking for specifically?
I'm looking for language, legend, lore, that kind of stuff. We did do a little bit of research on the island's name, and they gave us some stuff, but I'm looking more for the more illicit stuff that isn't necessarily something a government body would announce. But again, like, you know, when I looked at the map and I had a problem with it, I'm trying to stitch that up, right?
Okay. All right.
And see why I feel so bad about it.
Give me an idea roll, please.
All right. I get... Oh, might be good if I use the right character instead of a dot. Yeah. It's a 17. My idea is...
I think your idea is 65, isn't it? Am I looking at the right character?
65, yes.
5. Okay, so yeah, you you know, it's not anything specific. There's just, and I know, not to break the mood, but I know liminal horror gets kind of overplayed a lot these days. Yes, the back rooms ooze spooky, but it's that sense. It's when you're just looking at the photos and looking at where this place supposedly is on a map and looking at the supposed maps of it, you just kind of get this unease about, I mean...
Okay, so it feels wrong. I just can't put my finger on it.
You can't put your finger on it. This is basically the equivalent of your character if somebody said, hey, we don't know what's up in space, but would you go in a rocket and we'll just throw you up there? Maybe you'll get to the moon, maybe you won't. But so yeah, you're basically being sent down into a yawning void, and it's a little unsettling for your character.
All right, then yeah, I'll eat and peruse until I sleep.
Okay. Let's see. Give me a luck roll, please.
Still Professor James?
Yes, still Professor James.
God, I keep doing the wrong character.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's a 45. So my luck is 75, so that's 30 under.
You have a fairly uneventful night. You know, you get up at some point for a quick constitutional and a drink of water, and then back to bed, and everything passes uneventfully for you. Anyone else doing anything specifically in the wee small ones?
What time of day is it by now?
By now, it's about 9:30 at night. And remember, you're in October in Massachusetts, so it's night.
Right. Okay. Well, I'll swing by the diner, grab some, steak and eggs or something, and then go on home and get me some Betty by sleep time.
Easily done. 75 cents later, and you have a perfectly serviceable pan steak and a couple of scrambled eggs, or however you like them, and a bottomless cup of coffee.
Outstanding.
And the waiter rather looks at you and says, "You in here last night? That little ratty looking fella with a foreign accent? Didn't he end up dead?"
Yes, actually, it seems that he did.
He picks it to, like, he's bringing you your plate. He stops, walks back into the kitchen with it, comes back out a minute later with a box tied up with some twine, and sets it down in front of you and says, 75 cents. Have a good evening. Enjoy your meal at home.
Well, okay then.
Yeah, it's stone cold by the time you get home. You have to, like, pour a little cooking oil in a pan and put it in there and enjoy it like that after another, 10, 15 minutes of heating it up. Day 4. Day 4 comes, and we're just going to go down the line. Trevor Hartman.
Guess I'll go back to the library and do a little more studying on about the island, checking out maps and just getting the idea, the lay of the land and everything to see where we're going to be going.
Okay, Danforth, anything special on day 4?
Actually, yes. I am going to go to the hardware store, and if it's within my means, I want to purchase a Winchester shotgun.
He sees you come in, and he you ask him about a shotgun, and he says, "Is there some fraternity thing going on that I'm not previously aware of?"
Oh, just it's a gift for my uncle. He's big into the outdoors. You know how it is.
Yes, well, of course, sir, of course. Well, if he's hunting grouse, sir, I would recommend a 20 gauge. You can fire a larger cloud of smaller pellets. But if he's going after something bigger, perhaps geese, may I recommend the 12 gauge?
Yes, definitely 12. Actually, he likes to use the shotgun to deer hunt. He's an odd one, my Uncle Clark. I would need a 12 gauge shotgun and some slugs too, a couple of boxes of slugs.
Give me a luck roll on that.
Alrighty, here we go. White dice. Either you do me good or you go to the microwave. Which is it going to be? Woohoo! I rolled a 3.
He does have a couple of boxes of shot slugs in. They will still do standard damage. Right. But yeah, you have shot slugs. So if you shoot something with it, it's going to be 4d6. It's going to eat.
Outstanding.
You're shooting a shell full of fake nickels.
Yep.
Okay, so Professor James Smith, what are you doing?
Well, if there's nothing else for today, I'm just gonna try to sleep. If it's the next day, I'm going to try to contact my peers by, going to the library or their places of work if I can't find them in the morning, early morning. Not the rude early morning, but 9 a.m.
Okay, well, everybody's fairly easy to round up, except for Miles Worthington. Miles, you are awoken by a furious rapping on your chamber door.
After my night of hard absinthe.
Oh, God.
Man.
Wormwood livery.
All right, well, sometimes people knock and they have something important to say.
There's a Mr. Fairy, a Mr. Green Fairy. He's here to take the eyesight from one of your eyes. and
hang on. I'm coming.
Apply the top of your tongue to the bottom of your soft palate with wallpaper paste. Okay, so it is actually a police officer whom you do not recognize.
Oh, of course it
and
is.
A gentleman in a suit, string tie, bowler hat, who is standing there patiently. Yes. Good morning, sir. My apologies for the imposition.
It's the morning still.
Yes, sir. I believe it is. He pulls out a pocket watch, flips it open, snaps it shut, tucks it back in. Says,
I prefer you show up in the afternoon for future reference.
Yes, of course. My name is Nigel Pickman, and I am from the British Mission and Consulate in Boston, and I have been accompanying the handover mission for Bouvet Island, and as of course you have been attached to the mission as a reporter, sir, to report upon the completely legal and entirely justified handing over of some of His Majesty's empire to the Norwegians. So, to that, we intend to comport ourselves from this quaint little town of yours here to Ascension Island and thereafter to the domain which is to be ceded to the Continentals. Now, I am to understand that reportage is your role in this entire affair, but there's been a recent bit of unpleasantness regarding one of the crew member here in town, as was explained to me by the local constabulary.
There was a little bit of discomfort related to said constabulary.
Yes, of course. Well, His Majesty's government wishes these proceedings to go smoothly, if you will. Any interference or upset might lead our Norwegian counterparts to believe that His Majesty's government is looking for, I believe you Americans quaintly say, an out, a means to escape His Majesty's government's obligations, and I can assure you, nothing could be further from the truth. May I come in, sir?
Yeah, you may. Please excuse, the place is a mess.
Yes, of course. Well,
of course.
As I was saying, yes, the government of His Majesty wishes this affair to go as smoothly as possible, not only to apparently necessarily strengthen our continental ties, but those with you chaps here in the United States. And of course, this conversation must be regarded as entirely confidential. However, this bit of upset with the poor chap...
May I stop you there for a moment?
Yes.
Confidentiality ends up in my hand. Or at least the promise is such.
Game master to player, are you asking him for a bribe?
Yeah, basically.
Okay. Let me see. Give me a persuasion.
0-5.
Oh my God. Oh wow. Okay, so
you'll make that British guy lose some pounds.
He regards you. He's not an idiot, dude. He regards you and says, of course, His Majesty's government is understanding of the exigencies and the ease with which such can be overcome here in your quaint country with the direct application of monetary recompense. What will it take to buy your silence on this matter, sir?
5.
He hands you a strangely... Now, for anyone from the Commonwealth, I don't know what notes looked like pre-war, okay? Like in old times, they were like half the size of a sheet of paper, and then they got to be kind of roughly more or less the same size as dollars at some point. So yeah, he pulls out a sheaf of notes and peels off 5 1-pound notes.
Nice.
And hands them to you. So you have 5 pounds sterling. And he says, yes. And if you would be so kind, sir, in your dispatch to your local newspaper, if you'd be so kind as to issue this, and he reaches into another vest pocket and hands you a typewritten page.
All right. I'll look over it briefly.
Basically, it's something that is written more or less in your style. Your editor is going to have a heart attack when you hand it in because he's not going to have many words to correct. But he basically, it's an article written by you explaining how this fellow was found with a glass bottle, mostly drained, but with a little bit of bathtub gin in it, in his coat pocket. And clearly what happened was the poor fellow passed out drunk, fell in the water, and was washed up against the pier and snarled in some seaweed.
I see. I might have chosen a little bit of a different word here or there, but I feel like your words might actually be better.
Yes, of course. We did invent the language after all. Well, with that said, sir, His Majesty's government, and I'm sure, should circumstances prove necessary to discuss the matter with them, and I hope they won't, your own governments do appreciate your discretion in this matter. Now, I must away back to the ship to tend to matters before we set sail in the next 3 days. So thank you for your understanding.
Thank you for the portrait of George Washington inside your toilet seat.
Of course. I'll just see myself out then.
Good idea.
And he, gloves in one hand, cane in the other, and departs. And later that day, in the afternoon, Arkham Tattler, right there on headline, it's not even a headline. Like, you have to flip through. It's like on page 5. Norwegian sailor dies, alcohol poisoning suspected. Police chief quoted as saying, this is why we need prohibition here. These tragic deaths will never stop until all alcohol consumption is ended. And that there's a joint statement from the British, American, and Norwegian government agents involved, basically that says the mission will not be affected, and the poor gentleman's body will be comported back to his home nation by ship after the mission.
Great.
Thank you, Dungeon Minister. Yeah, that is about right. £5 would be about $20, or again, if you go to your inflation calculators, that could be close to what, about 250, 300 today?
300,000.
No, it's not that bad. In 2022, it makes about $29 US.
You should have taken the coins; they would have been silver.
True.
With that, you could buy stock in that new wacky company called IBM.
Oh yeah, no. In 2022, it makes about $291. So yeah, you yeah. The guy just handed you a fairly good chunk of change, 5 weird British pounds. But hey,
When I said 5, I was cool with 5, but I would also be cool with 500.
Oh yeah, no, he was not about to hand you 500 pounds, dude.
I see that.
No, I got you, Dungeon Minister. I thought that was an exclamation point for a second there. All right, so you further research on the island is just, I mean, it's like you're reading the same books over and over again, because we're talking about, again, like if you look up modern entries for Bouvet or Bouvet Island, it's less than a couple of thousand words.
So in the 1920s, it would be much less.
much less. The photographs and the map showing where it is, and they found seals and penguins, and here's like 5 events over the course of the timeline, is it, capital I, capital T.
Can I do some more research on the shipwrecks? See what other information I can find about that. Or not the shipwrecks,
Sure.
but the missions that went there.
Yeah. Go ahead and give me a library use on that.
It started out as a 3-hour tour. A 3-hour tour.
Hang on, let me get my dice roll here.
All right.
Okay.
And by the way, those of you who may have missed it, as he's rolling the dice, our usual redoubtable trusty die roller familiar that we use over on Delver Discord broke. It was hosted on a system that is no longer accessible to the administrator of it. We have provisions in place if you are using any planning on doing any gaming on Delver Discord, that you will be able to roll dice. So fear not.
I missed it by 3.
You missed it by 3. Okay. Nothing.
Okay.
It's just you're like, you get to like the end of the 3 pages on Bouvet Island, 2 of which are fold out pages of like panoramic images of the island, both drawn and photographed, and one of which is actual information, and flip back to the start and like, yeah, nothing new has appeared here. You keep refreshing the page, but it doesn't update.
Can I make a sketch in my notebook of the map itself, or possibly even request a copy of the map from the library?
Yeah, they don't have a map to lend out, but you can absolutely make a sketch of it.
Okay, I'll mark down any notable features that stand out on the what's in the books, and
Okay.
Make a decent sketch the best I can.
All right. So how about Danforth? Is Danforth doing anything?
Yeah, Danforth wants to do some research into the 3 people that died mysteriously.
Okay.
From like the captain, the boatsman, and the first mate. Trying to figure out if they still have family, and if they do, he would like to send a telegram. Since they would be in England, he wants to send a telegram asking if they could send any journals or anything to the island. That way, hopefully, they'll both, me and the journals will reach the island at the same time.
Give me an idea roll, please.
Okay. Come on, white dice. Microwave or bust. Microwave it is. That's a horrible. Idea was 55, rolled a 68. So.
Yeah, no, you're not. You don't. You're not going to be able to sort your way through telecommunication systems to try and get a diary sent from England to Arkham, and then it's just, you're like, I don't even know where to start, So yeah, that's just kind of outside of your skill set.
Well, that's okay, because now I'm breaking out the pumpkin dice.
Okay.
Be wary.
I'm wary. Okay, so anything else anybody is doing that day? Is there anything else on day 5? Yeah, you guys are on day 5.
Just getting some dinner and then going and getting some rest after I'm done drawing my map.
Okay. All right. So Professor James Smith. Professor Smith, you have been staring at fine type and printing and so on until your eyes are starting to swim that evening as you're copying stuff down and so on and etc. Give me an idea roll, please.
Okay. I have. There it is. Now I'm using the wrong one again, but it's the right one. But it's the wrong one.
Okay.
Okay, I rolled an 80, so yeah, not so good this time. I'm
Okay.
15 above.
Right. How about a luck roll?
86. That's also 75, so it's 11 high.
Yeah, you spend your last few hours that day in the library, and just nothing comes to mind. You're just like, you go over and talk to Hartman, and he's like, "Well, I've looked at these 3 pages, and 2 of them are pictures. Have fun." And you spend a few hours looking at them, and nothing comes to mind as far as any exploration information.
Pinch my temples and say, I guess that's it.
All right. Unless there's something else specific that anyone wants to do in the town, we will say that the next couple of days pass uneventfully. Is there anything anybody wants to do before you depart from Arkham?
You know, just in case, I'm going to get some sea rations. Not the kind that are in cans, but that are used for ocean voyages.
So you just want some canned food?
Well, they're not canned, right? It's just in that they pack it with wax. So, yeah, I'm just gonna get some like crackers and things like that, right?
Oh,
okay. Just to stash in my own gear, just in case I'm not too thrilled with the food or end up being seasick. I haven't been on the boat before, so
you got a good point. Actually, vitamin C might be helpful should we get stranded at sea.
Yeah.
Well, this is a fairly large ocean-going steam-powered vessel. It has some.
The Titanic.
So was the SS Minnow.
The morning of, there is some. There is some pomp. You know, there are reporters who've driven up from Boston and from New York and so on, seeing this affair off, and you're all standing. You know, 100 years from now, investigators are going to be looking up. I want to see that photo. Do I recognize those guys standing there? And that's you all packed together as they get the flash and get a good picture of you all. Speeches are given. Clancy's just standing by the quayside, just glaring at you guys with a couple of uniformed officers. And as you're kind of turning around and going up the gangway to the ship, Clancy's close enough on the quayside, and he says, "Bon voyage." Okay. Ship sets sail. It is a fairly pleasant voyage. The first, I got to get my travel times right. I don't want to say weeks, and suddenly the chat blows up. Weeks? What do you mean? It was just, The first portion of the trip is fairly pleasant because you stay fairly close to the coast of the United States. It is late enough in the season that the great tropical storms that seem to appear out of nowhere don't seem to have much effect. And it is here when you get roughly parallel to the Carolinas and you pass the Bahamas that it gets positively balmy. Yeah, all that cold weather gear and those wool suits and everything, you're like, begging the captain to let you out on deck and, just go like savages and fold up your shirt cuffs a couple of times. But all in all, it's a fairly pleasant voyage. You cross the equator. That's kind of a big deal. You have, a big to-do. And eventually, after... Wow. Okay. Yeah, that is a bit of a trip there. So after, we're going to call that 2 weeks of travel. You, I think it would probably be a little bit more than that. So call it more like 3 weeks. You reach the port. It is the last regularly established place you think you're going to see. And it's a little town called Ascension Island. Uh-oh, we lost somebody. Hopefully they'll come back in. So you stop at Ascension Island. And the ship takes on more provisions. Now, interestingly enough, as you're going along, you meet some of the crew. There's the British contingent. There we are. Danforth was seasick for the first week, so he was not.
Have some crackers, Danforth. It helps.
Okay. So we're just going to go down the line. Trevor Hartman, give me a luck roll, please.
Let me see here. Oh, copy and paste. Well, that's 71. I've got a 75 luck, so I just made it.
Okay. At one night during the voyage, there you are unable to sleep. This long on a ship, even for you, is kind of starting to wear on you a little bit.
Okay.
Headphone cables caught. Give me a listen check, please. A listen check.
Okay. Check 1, check 2.
Very good.
36. Let's see.
Okay. I think your listen is 25.
Okay.
All right. As you are moving along down the corridor, you are passing the crew's quarters, because remember, this is not a luxury ship where it's for you guys. It's not a luxury ship. For the British and Norwegian officials, they have their own cabins. You guys are actually split into pairs. Hartman and Worthington and Smith and Taylor. So you're basically getting some fresh air while the getting's good. We'll say that this is on day 11 of your voyage, and you pass one of the crew's quarters, and you hear a muttering and a mumbling from within the room, and it is somewhat rhythmic.
I'll pause and listen a little closer.
All right, I will give a bonus, but give me a listen roll again, please, since you're pausing and listening.
67.
Well, that's good enough, because, well, you can pick up snatches of things.
Okay.
You're not 100% sure, but it sounds like someone is speaking rhythmically in Latin.
But I don't have that language.
Ooh, I do. Am I with the professor?
Give me a luck roll.
I figure since we roomies.
Yeah.
Where's my luck? 45. Woo, pumpkin dice, 28, baby.
Okay, so yeah, you're both stretching your legs as you're walking along the corridor there, and over the drone of machinery, you can definitely hear someone is speaking in Latin. Now give me a Latin language roll.
Okay, now my Latin is 55.
Okay.
Pumpkin dice, Daddy needs to learn a new language. Here we go. 52.
Okay, the drone of the ship's machinery is a little dense, but you definitely pick up a word thickly foreignly accented, and there is a Chinese crewman on this ship. But you definitely pick up the Latin word for blood and power. And as you're standing there, the cabin door opens, and the light from a red shuttered lantern, or perhaps a red candle, you don't know, pours out into the hallway, framing you both. And there, in one of the crewmen's uniform, is this Chinese fellow, Mr. Shin. Crewman Shin. And he regards you both for a moment and says, "May I help you?"
Were you speaking in Latin, or was that your bunkmate?
"No, I was speaking in Latin. The rest of the crew are about their duties. My shift has ended." He holds up a cross and says, "I was praying. Would you care to join me?"
Sure.
Thank you, but no.
I will.
Okay. As it happens, Mr. Shin is a rather devout Catholic. Grew up in a Jesuit orphanage along the east coast of China, and yeah, so he goes back into his prayers then, and says them in Latin as he does. Offers you some tea when you're finished.
I'll definitely drink the tea. Did he mention blood and power again in his prayers?
Now that you put it together, it's all, you're like, oh, okay, it's the blood of Christ, the Lord, that sort of thing.
I got
so he's he makes some tea, and you say, "I must say, you are a welcome change from my crewmates. Although I respect them greatly, few of them are as devout as I. So I often have to take my prayers either silently or alone."
Yeah, there are many faiths found on the waters.
I'm sorry, what were you saying?
I said this is the Chinese walking.
Oh, I didn't
Your accent just slipped into Christopher Walken there for a moment.
I apologize for that. Just imagine Christopher Walken in that horrible movie about ping pong. Anyway, so yeah, he do you have a very pleasant conversation with him? He was an orphan, raised by Jesuits, wanted to see the larger world. China at that time for him was kind of a place of depression and misery, and the sea kind of always called to him. So he made his way to Hong Kong and has worked since he was 15 years old, starting as a steward, and has worked his way up through various passages. He said, although it was very brief, I did get to see a little bit of America. I hope to see the American West someday. I would love to see it so big and open.
Yes, maybe one day you will get to visit the American West. And when you do, I have a friend named Luke Wilson that you need to find. He's a good guy.
Very well. Ah, yes, named after St. Luke. And let me see here. Stumbles more than a few times, but gets the basics of it down pat. So yeah, it's good green tea. It's a fine evening spent, and that's, there you go. That's a very big herring. Yeah, well, sometimes everything is not as it appears. What about James Smith?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be antisocial on the boat unless I'm ill. So, I'll be out on the deck or, watching the shores or, pestering people in positions of higher than deck swab with my commentary.
Now, Worthington, you're expected to keep dispatches going back. They have a long wave radio on board the ship for you to send us with. So that keeps you occupied because you're talking to the guys hammering away there at the key, and you're like, wait, no, scratch that whole sentence. Tick 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 tick. Let's see. Everybody give me a sand roll.
Oh, come on. I thought I was busy.
Nope. Everybody give me a sand roll.
I got a 53, so I'm below my sand.
All right.
71.
67 for Trevor. He's good too.
All right, let's see about these Dungeon Delver commemorative dice. Oh, 0-3.
There you go.
0503. These things are like almost, you could say, blessed.
Literally blessed.
Literally blessed. Okay, so you it's boring. The sea is just slate gray green. It has started to get colder after you leave Ascension Island, but the worst thing you've got now is boredom. You have played cards. The seas are not calm enough to play snooker. It's like you've got like 5 minutes, you start setting up the balls, and then the ship rolls slightly and they go caroming off. But lots of cards, lots of dominoes, good meals. The Norwegian and the British are the Norwegian is quite happy about this, and come now, it's not so bad. It is just a little rock in the middle of the Indian Ocean. And the Englishman is like, yes, well, then why is it so bloody important that you have it? Well, the seals and such, we can harvest the seals at the appropriate times and put a weather station there. That will be it. It will be beneficial for everyone. Yes, and I'm quite sure the massive Norwegian Empire has the means to maintain it and keep it supplied. This guy, yeah, he is not a friendly, amenable, warm kind of guy. And now the closer you get to your destination, the more this begins to pay off. The warm weather clothes. The day comes when it feels like the drone of the engines, the consumption of more and more tinned food here and again, the proximity of everything. When you were walking up to this ship at the quays at Arkham in another life, you felt like you could get lost and rattle around inside this ship. Now it seems choking and restrictive. Every corridor reeks of machine oil and the proximity of bodies, despite the fact that you've been able to take a hot shower every other day. The sound of even your closest companion's voice is like fingernails on a chalkboard. Even the wind has become an annoyance because it's either damp or cold and damp. Now it's just cold and damp. You can't even enjoy a breath of fresh air. It's merely something you have to do, like relieving yourself.
Luckily, I have my yodeling.
At night, 4 of the crewmen approach you in your cabin and tell you that if you don't stop, there will be an accident.
Socks and soap. Socks and soap.
So I'll leave that up to the player, but there's a rap on the door, and there's an Irishman, an Irish sailor who says, "Enough with the yodeling. Don't make us come and tell you again. It was pleasant the first 12 times you did it. 'Tis enough now. Stop it, you stuffed shirt. Or something might happen to you, so you can't yodel so good no more. Have a pleasant evening, sir." And finally, when it seems like you have all been worn thin, frayed at the edges by this journey into nowhere, and you haven't even for the last 5 days been able to enjoy the nights because of scudding clouds, at least in the warmer climes, you had a front row seat to heaven. Finally, on the morning of the day when you all think this could be it, there is a call. Land ho! Everybody rushes up to the decks. Everyone who's not on duty rushes up to the deck. And you see in the distance a rough, dirty gray blob that doesn't move like the rest of the clouds do. If you weren't absolutely certain because of the rangefinder that the crew uses to observe such things, you might think it's just your mind playing tricks on you. But no, based on what you've all seen in the books, you have arrived at Bouvet Island, and I need a sand roll from everybody. Actually, no, hold off on that. The captain calls for scientific personnel, ambassadors, basically anyone who might be going ashore. He calls for a general meeting. They continue cruising towards the island, but he calls for a general meeting. Do all of you attend?
I do.
Yes.
I do.
I'm not a general, but I'll go.
All right. So he basically breaks it down and says, this is the itinerary. First, we are going to establish a weather station on the island. As this will be a Norwegian territory, he just beams at the British ambassador, who literally does an adolescent. Of course, we will want to do a diplomatic handover of the territory, lest it be seen as an invasion. Some laughter ripples out through the room. Some of the other British staffers catch like the hate stare, and they're like, oh. So going there will, of course, be our esteemed reporter, Mr. Worthington.
Indeed.
And, of course, any dispatches you wish to make can be comported back to the ship and sent via wireless, which, of course, is always at your disposal. And then we can commence with the construction of the weather station and a temporary shelter for a few days of occupation of the island. the establishing of important scientific implements and instruments, and the caching of emergency supplies for Norwegian or British or whoever ships might need to utilize the facilities on our territory. Norway is, of course, an ocean-going nation. This, like, Robert just starts to just and that.
Sweetly.
But he just kind of goes on and basically says, hand over with reporters, they'll take pictures, they'll make nice. Then they'll set to constructing the weather station. Those of you doing scientific studies will spend a couple of days there. And from there, you know, samples will be gathered, the boats will return to the ship, and that will be it. Wave of mutilation, that is the best Norwegian I got. I'm sorry. I know it sounds more Swedish than anything, but... Okay, so, without further ado, is anyone doing anything on the ship in the ensuing hours?
I'm going to collect my belongings and put them in tuggables.
Okay. Like
Aside
all
from
of your
that-
stuff, you're just going to pack up to move on to the island?
Yeah, absolutely. I want the hell off this ship, and a couple days away from it might make me not so insane when I come back.
All right.
Miles will mill about, you know, talking to some of the passengers and whatnot, seeing if there's anything of interest. Just sort of being a social butterfly, particularly since he's, I imagine he's carrying a pretty heavy buzz right now.
Okay. Any Norwegians you wish to speak to? Let me see. You actually have, you can actually speak Norwegian, Miles. So,
Yes.
any Norwegians you wish to speak to, you do not have to make a persuade roll to discuss things with, and they will talk to you about how proud they are of this moment. And several of them actually do speak well of the British as a whole, for kind of seeing through, even if they don't have much to say about Lambert and his staff, or he himself. They're kind of neutral on his staff because his staff has to say how high when he says jump. But him, they just don't speak of. And they have enough. I'm just going to kind of average and say average because they have to be international. Yeah, they've got enough English and you've got enough Norwegian that you can speak with them. If you wish to speak to any of the British, I'm going to need to see persuasion rolls.
Yeah, no, not really. I just wanted to get a general sentiment.
Yeah.
Of the direction we're going, the people who are in charge, and that sort of thing.
Okay. So the night comes and goes, and you guys are now close enough to the island. Yeah, it is this lozenge of dirty white. You can see just in the distance, like everybody gets a turn at the rangefinders, and you can see little blobby moving shapes. Seals, you would presume. You're close enough now that the water is shallow enough that you can weigh anchor here. Let's see. It's imposing. It is pretty imposing. So everybody who gets close enough to get a good look at this through the rangefinder, now give me that sand check, all of you.
All right, commemorative dice. I ain't even joking. 0-1.
You're like,
So I rolled a 0-5, a 0-3, and a 0-1. I'm keeping this set for myself.
You can add that to my 99.
Oh, well, there we go.
gosh. So you rolled a 99?
I rolled a 99, yeah.
I rolled an 87.
Okay.
Trevor, 11. He's good.
That 99 is a crit fail, so that is a loss of 2 sanity points. You are in an utterly alien place. You may have sailed off the surface of the earth. You are not looking at. You've seen snowy mountains that just rise up out of the sea. Gray clouds, like in the distance, you can't even see where the clouds in the sky meet. You feel like you're in a giant mouth poised to close on you. This is utterly wrong. Take 2 sand points off.
Man.
The guy who started with the highest sand is slipping, guys.
Yeah. I've already lost quite a bit.
So
Wasn't he like 16 years old though? Wasn't he like Doogie Howser or something?
Yeah.
I told you that was a typo on my part. He's 26.
My bad.
Does Trevor notice his downturn here with his psychology background? He noticed something different about it.
Give me a psych roll.
Ooh, a 2.
Yes, he is not holding up well. This trip has worn on him. He's not doing well. You can let's see. Do you have psychoanalysis?
Don't think I do.
I mean, you have a
That's the
1%.
best skill.
So.
Okay. Yeah, you want to try that? Okay.
You know something's not okay with him.
Just don't know exactly what. Yeah, I got a 46.
Yeah, you're just like, calm down. You're acting like your mother. Every guy knows that is exactly how to completely disarm an argument with your wife. Like, calm down.
Have you seen your father's?
Yeah.
now, do I just lose 1 sanity point?
Yes, your sand loss is 1 point. This is imposing and this is alien and this is wrong. It's like, I'm going to look away now, and it's just nothing. Okay, I'll look back this way because surely there's another. Nope, just nothing.
I'm definitely drinking my bathtub gin.
That is a little that is more than a little bit unsettling for poor Trevor Hartman. You're just like, something's not right. Something is absolutely not right in your world, and it's eating at you. So how many sand points have you lost so far?
I've lost 6, so not 10% yet, but we haven't even met any monsters yet. we were in town for most of those.
I want to pat him on the shoulder. Professor, is there something bothering you?
Yeah, I hate it here.
He's allergic to planet Earth.
Yeah, I hate it here, and I think I'm going to like it less when we go over there. but I'm willing to chance it.
Well, keep a stiff upper lip, my good man. We'll find a way through this. Don't worry.
Okay. So, are you scientists going? There's enough room. There's 2 motor launches, very clever gasoline engine motor launches that can take you to the island with the provisions, cameras, of course. That will all be the domain of Miles Worthington recording the moment. And it, by the way, it is cold. It is cold. So Miles, you will definitely be going along. The British ambassador by himself, the Norwegian ambassador by himself. They have flags, little flag poles. They'll stick one in the ground, and you've got 4 crewmen accompanying you, operating the motor launches.
Right.
Let's see. We're gonna go with make a couple of, we'll treat this as drive auto since since drive boat isn't necessarily a skill. Oops, that's comped. If only I had better dice of these that were branded by a product or a service that I really enjoy. Anyway, took him sort of a minute. He got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah. So your two boatswains, they handle these things just fine. You guys don't have to make any emergency drive car rolls, but yeah, they get them up on shore. Folks are kind of astonished. There is immediately, like the two boats pull up, the Norwegian fellow gets off, and he's just kind of looking around. The other boat, the British ambassador Blumberg gets off, and he stalks over to the Norwegian. He looks like he is ready to explode. Yes, and what is the meaning of this? I suppose you couldn't be bothered to wait. You had to seize a piece of territory in your own misbegotten hands in complete contravention of all the agreements that we set forth. Is this the kind of behavior you Continentals reward an extension of the hand of friendship with? And he is indicating because there are piles of sheet metal, rolled up sheet metal, stacked high up on the beach. They're a little rusted, but they're all piled together up, presumably beyond the water line. There is a flat slab of some kind slightly jutting out near them, and what appears to be half of the hull of a boat, but it's not made of wood. It appears to be made of metal. There's a couple of oarlocks, and it looks like it was just shorn straight in half, and it is up near the slab. Yes, the island's uninhabited, you say. You have honored British sanctity, you say. Well, sir, I can very clearly see that your treaties, the continental types, right, are not worth the paper they are printed on. And you, young man, and he pokes Worthington in the chest, you may print that, sir.
I'll be happy to print that. I have other things I want to print as well, so I'll add this to my notes.
Yeah, see that you do. The Norwegian is completely baffled. Surely this is just trash that has fallen off of a ship and washed ashore. And he's getting very heated. So the rest of you guys, let's go across the line. Trevor Hartman, are you staying out of this?
He's going to go over and inspect the debris and see what he can figure out about it. Get a little closer.
Okay. Okay. Give me, let's see, what would that be? I need you to psychoanalyze the metal. Give me.
He knows all kinds of heavy metal stuff.
All right. You know what? Give me an idea roll. Give me an idea roll.
Ooh, a 15.
A 15. Okay. All right. You can clearly see where this is perforated. Like this is just a roll. These are just rolls of sheet steel, like you would maybe build a shack with.
Okay.
So and how about Danforth?
Danforth will try to do the right thing and step in and try to calm the British guy down and saying, let's all work together to find out what's going on.
Okay, give me a persuade roll.
Come on, pumpkin dice. Okay, fine. You're gonna fall off. That's fine. Persuade. Ooh, persuade 30. I rolled a 31.
Okay. He backs off slightly. Like he realizes that he's standing on an island on the edge of the world, screaming, and so yeah, He calms down a little bit and says, "Very well, I will see what your investigations turn up." Miles is just scribbling away. This is tawdry. It is ugly. It is an international incident, though, and this may propel you beyond writing
Absolutely.
for the Arkham Battler.
I'm taking all notes.
Okay, so James Smith, you can take your hands out of your mittens long enough.
I'm going to look over at it and says, that does look like a boat. But that's it. I have nothing else to say.
Okay, you're not going to poke around. You're not.
No. The last thing I want to do is go look at something that's destroyed. I'm tired of that shit. Right. So.
Okay, so so the Norwegian, through translators, he's able to get the Brit calmed down to the point where they will at least stand next to each other and hold the agreement between them, and a photo can get taken. It was getting to the point before you guys intervened that you were worried that he was literally going to rip it in half because he's in possession of the thing, because it's part of the handover that he was just going to shred it. So you guys intervening probably prevented that. So they go through that. They get some photos. The document is sealed up, and the two diplomats in separate motor launches go back to the ship. And I should point out that if this were, say, in Arkham Harbor during the summer, or, well, basically anywhere along the east coast of the United States in the summer, presuming good weather, the ship is close enough that you would be able to swim to it. However, this is not good weather. It is not the summer. You are not off the east coast of the United States. It is close enough that you're like, the ship's right there and we can actually see people moving back and forth on it. But it could it could be miles away. So the four fellows set about to start assembling the huts, and there's some discussion amongst them. Should we use the sheet metal? It's right here. It could help with reinforcement. Sirs, we're waiting on the captain, but do you want us to reinforce the huts with the sheet metal that's here?
I'm pretty sure that possession's 90% of the law, especially way out here. I think it's your stuff at this point, right? It's your island, your stuff. I'm assuming these are Norwegians, not the English.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that would be a good idea, don't you think? Otherwise, it's just going to look like a pile of trash.
Certainly.
All right. So they go to it, and they start working. And when the boats come back, they bring more supplies. You're not sure what time of day it is because you're very near the Antarctic Circle. But daylight seems to last a really, really long time. Now you can see, you could walk up the side of the large, and I hesitate to use this word because I don't want to imply like some imposing Matterhorn-like peak, but for lack of a better term, some island, some mountain on the island there. You're pretty sure that you could make your way up there if you were looking for seabird rookeries or more interesting geological stuff than just a rocky beach here, what have you. So essentially, you are at the making of observations and scientific measurements and so on point while they're building the shacks.
Anyone fancy a hike?
Well, I need something to do. I'm sure as hell not going to sit here watching those guys. If we're not going to do something, I'm going to help.
Yeah, I could go for a walk.
Same.
Okay, so you've all got the right gear, and you begin hiking up the side of the glacier to what is, to the best of your understanding. Well, you know what? Let me see. Maybe one of you has an applicable skill before I just narrate it. I feel like I've just narrated the heck out of this too much. Like I've stepped on you guys. So if there's anything you want to do, please just say, no, I'm not doing that. I'm doing this.
No, it's cool with me.
Yeah.
All right.
I actually would like to make a map of the island. Like as soon as we can get high enough, I want to start, because I have map making 40, and I think that's just cool. I want to try to do a map.
Okay, yeah, you can throw some cartography dice here. Let me see. How about Danforth? Give me a geology check, please.
All
And
right, geology of 10. Here we go.
Yeah, I'm going to bolster this because you have been doing research.
73, and the pumpkin dice go to hell.
So, yeah, the glacier covers everything. You're not getting any feel for what might actually be under here.
Would a natural history roll make a difference?
I'm gonna go ahead and let that, because you've actually got you studied this island, so you got a little bit of insight into it.
Okay. Not enough. 65 out of 40.
Big thick layer of ice, could be yards deep. Is Worthington doing anything other than hiking?
No. I mean, I might use my dodge skill to avoid their particularly poor rolls, but other than that, I'm on walk.
And we are not at the point where climb is a thing yet, so fear not. Does anyone else have geology, and would you like to check it? James Smith has it at 10%. And yes, I saw the. I saw.
I'm muted.
Naughty stuff. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was. I do have botany, but I don't. Is there plant life at all?
Well, give me a botany check, and we'll see if you can find anything that's, you know.
I mean, it's snowball chance in hell, literally.
Yeah.
I got a 44, so fail. Yep.
Yeah, you're not. You're not.
Sorry. I'll roll a geology, right? I got a 1%. I'll roll
Sure.
it in the little chat thing here.
All right.
22. Nope.
Feet upon feet of ice.
It's not even clean ice.
There's nothing else going on. Would a spot hidden check work?
Is it yellow ice?
Yeah,
It will be soon.
It's not yellow ice, but give me a spot hidden.
Okay. Yeah, 30 out of 40.
There are 40 hidden archers.
Okay. Yeah, there's a tribe of chochos that was living on the island waiting to ambush investigators. No. So you notice that there is, between a couple of cornices of ice, like, you thought it was just shadow. You know, there is enough sunlight to produce shadows here and again. But yeah, you see what looks like a dark spot that would indicate something that kind of up near the summit that looks like you might be able to move in.
Well, what is this? Look up here, my friends. I'll start trudging that way. I unsling my rifle and have it at the ready in case any rabid penguins attack us.
Okay. So you move towards the opening, James. And there is almost, when you get within about 5 yards, there is something almost like an exhalation. It's not very strong, but the odor is almost enough to knock you on your ass. It is rank. And what it reminds you of the most is you've been in deep jungles before. It's like rotting tropical vegetation, maybe mixed with sort of an loathsome overtone of vomit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that, give me an idea roll.
64 out of 70, I believe.
Yes. That shouldn't be. The smell of penguin or seal dung was prominent down on the beach, but only just because of the wind. This is a strong, pungent, redolent odor of something that, like, if you turn and look north, directly at South Africa, and you could somehow survive the journey, you would have to walk about 3,900 miles to get to the nearest spot that should have an odor anything remotely like this.
I'll stop and cover my mouth and my nose with the elbow. I haven't smelt anything like this since the South African continent. It's disgusting.
Yeah, the rest of you are all kind of, you're a little bit further back from him, but it's pretty gagsome. And that is where we're going to pause for tonight. So, nice. Standing at the opening of the cave on the side of the peak that dominates the middle of Bouvet Island, smelling rotting vegetation where there ought not be any. Who knows what secrets lie within the dark heart of this frozen island? So,
nose? Oh wait, that's the wrong name.
The shadow knows. Yeah. So next week, folks, we will reconvene on Friday. We will probably still be doing front half of the day, or front half of the evening, I should say, read through of Deities and Demigods. I don't imagine we'll just blitz through all those different pantheons and whatnot. What do you think, guys? Should I skip or focus on the Cthulhu mythos when we get there? Do I want to swim in it, or do I not want to give away too much? So thank you all to my players. Thank you all to the audience for sticking it out with us this long for session 2 of 4, Call of Cthulhu, Nightmare Visions of H.P. Lovecraft's Worlds of Horror. And of course, thank you to Chaosium. Think I can finish in 2 more sessions? Vince, I am committed to finishing this investigation, this tale. So if we get to next week and they've moved 5 feet closer to the cave by the end of the night, then by God, the 4th Friday is going to be long. So thank you to my players for making everything awesome. Thank you to our audience again for sticking it out. It was great to see you all and interact with you. Brodo the Bling Bear says my dialogue that merits going up, even though it's not super. He's got to do this. Sounds like a review of A Wine Made in Hell, an aroma of putrescent sludge with a heady overtone of decaying flesh.
Yes, just like Mom used to make.
And then throw cabbage, something better. So once again, I really do appreciate it, guys. We'll be continuing this on. Thank you, Wave of Mutilation. And we'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.